say I'm quite happy and lucky, not happy, but lucky, since I am self-isolated in my workshop, actually, which is in my flat. So comparing to artists who cannot really work right now or have some limits in what they can do, I would call myself as a very lucky person, since I have like all the tools and all the materials for a year without going out, I would say. Of course, it's not the point, and it's not what I wanted to talk about. But it still could help everyone who is in isolation, who is in fear, who is in any state of mind and health right now. And what I wanted to talk about is one of my projects I have done last year, actually, but it fits to the situation. Um Not perfectly, but I don't know how to say it right in English. I didn't know that this project could be such a good prediction of what's going to happen right now. Uh, Realizing and observing this project from these days, from this particular day, and turning back, I'm seeing that I was already in some kind of similar state that many people are right now. So the project I gonna present now and show. I will share my screen. I will just use my website, since it's just like one project. I didn't want to make a big presentation, and my website can represent it pretty clear what it is. I don't know what will be with the quality of the video, but it's not that important. So yeah, I'm starting to share my screen. I hope it works. Ildar, just tell me if it is.
All good, all good.
Okay, so this project is called Last Breath, and I made it in 2019, actually exactly 1 year ago, in March or April of 2019. And the trigger for the project was a disease I got, a virus I got in India, and it was absolutely unknown virus, which infected me accidentally somewhere on the streets of, I don't know, maybe it was in Delhi, maybe it was already in Goa where I was for vacation, but I got a really high fever and no other symptoms. And I'm quite rare to be sick, and it's very rare for me to struggle from any of these very common respiratory diseases. Maybe once in 5 years or something like that. So, and because of that, I was extremely stressed. I had no other symptoms except of the fever, and it made me very nervous, because when you are like a European guy in India, you don't have antibodies for some local stuff that probably local people don't even realize, that they don't feel it. Maybe it's something very common, something very simple, maybe some bad food, I don't know. But I was in a big fear, and I didn't know that millions and billions of people will get similar fear just in 1 year. But already at that point, when I was still sick and I was laying in the bed in India for just a few days, actually, it wasn't very hardcore. It was just like, I don't know, fever, and nothing more than that. I recovered in just a couple of days, but I still had some, not aftershocks, but some kind of delayed recovering. So with some after effects, which were quite psychedelic. I don't know why, but it looks like that virus really affected my nerve system somehow. Not really strong, but I had some fear of light. I had some really changed, perception of visual information, not in a psychedelic way, but a bit like of the future. And that also scared me quite a lot, because I never experienced anything like that before. And when I came back to Moscow, I still had that fear in my mind, but more as a memory, as a kind of a like self-reflection. And I was thinking that I should do something with it. I cannot left this energy and use it, even if it's a kind of a like negative energy which fears me. And I should turn it in something artistic, in something interesting. I should work somehow with that. And I realized that I want to use this fear to create a project that will help me to recover psychologically from that situation. And I had a feeling that it could help me. And at the same time, I was thinking, what could be the topic? What could be the main topic for that? And the main topic was that I want to create art, even if I'm sick, even if it's my last days, even if it's like time to stop, I don't know, time to go somewhere in another dimension. I would still prefer to be in the power, in the mood and energy to create something. And then I started to think, what could be my, like, if I will be that sick that I cannot really do anything physically with my hands, probably I will still have some functions of my body. And this is how I came to the idea of using my breath to as an energy, as a source of whatever, air pressure in my case, to create a project that will allow me to play music, even if I cannot do it anymore with my hands, even if my like body is really weak. And I realized that breathing is one of the last things we have until we die. Maybe heart rate, but we cannot really control heart rate. So breathing is maybe the last thing we still have some, way to be controlled, uh, even if we are in the bed, and for example, we're in a very bad condition right now. And so I realized that I can use this as a source of, as a starting point, as a source for my project. And this gun with a machine should be attached to your head, to your face, and you don't need to play on it. The only thing you need to do while you are using it is just breathing. And depending on how you do that, it changed the sound, it changed the way how it's processed and how it perceives this breathing as a source of air pressure, as well as the source of data, because there could be a different intensity of this air pressure. It could be different length of how your exhale goes to the pipe. So you can really have some kind of small control only on this physiological parameter, but then you can get some data to control it. So, but very important part of that project is that it is not really an opposition between an artist who plays an instrument that works as a secondary passive instrument. I mean, not really passive, but instrument that you control. In that case, it's more like a partnership, because when you're weak and you cannot really do many, operations by yourself, you need some assistance. So inside of that project, there is machine, there is an algorithm, a small computer that processes everything by itself, so you don't need to really to choose the notes. When you play on it, you just need to keep breathing, and that's it. But at the same time, it's you who creates that in a kind of a partnership with this machine. And of course, right now, in this particular day, after a year, I see this project. I mean, it's even a bit scary for myself to look on it, because I don't want to see my face with the breathing mask or anything that's somehow linked me to what's happening now in many hospitals. So, and I even had a joke when I created this machine that I would love to not love, but it will be fun to see like many bodies with this kind of attached machines, maybe people in coma, as an orchestra of people who are playing this kind of like working as an organs, because they are not really doing anything. Of course, it was a joke, a very like black humor joke, but right now I would not like even say it about any new project. But at that moment, it was like kind of a fun thing. Of course, right now there is a completely different perception of that. And my main message is that this project really helped me. First of all, of course, it changed my focus, it changed my attention, and when I was creating it, I was really reworking the stress into the art project, and it become fun. It become like a mythological concept behind the project, what was making it really stronger. In my opinion, my opinion is that it made that project stronger than if it will be just like a random inspired project that I just created for fun. And so my main message is that we as an artist should use this kind of possibility to use our fear or any kind of stress as a trigger for creating something, even if we are in a bad mood or in a bad, maybe even money situation, whatever. We should still continue creating something, and still should continue to rework, to reflect the problems, and convert them into something. Eldar, you actually stopped my sharing. Is it on purpose, or I'm done? I should be done. I can't hear you. You are muted. You are muted.
So yeah, this is the time to speak and talk a bit.
But I think that message, and you saw what I wanted to present and to explain.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for your presentation. Thanks for overcoming your fear, Dmitry. So if everyone who is now in the docs,
Steven asks if I can hear the instrument. Probably, maybe if I would share the link, and so that people can see it by themselves, it will be better if I will broadcast it from the Zoom, because then it's going to be much lower quality. So you can see it on my page if it's interesting for you. It's not really that impressive. It's more a visual project, I would say. Sound-wise, maybe it's not like a perfect interpretation or, I don't know, creation in general. So it's, but yeah, you can still hear it and see it.
Steven, Ksenia, if any of you wants to participate the conversation, we have 5 minutes to talk. You can turn your camera on and ask questions to Dima, or discuss like this idea of bringing your fears, your anxieties inside your artworks. Hi, Steven.
There. I thought that was fascinating. I think it was. I think the art project was as much part of your recovery as your actual recovery. But maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, I would say sometimes when some time passed, you realize that maybe some bad things happening on purpose. I mean, of course, it's very metaphysical concept, which could be wrong. But we as humans, we should always have a hope. We should always have like a feeling that everything is happening not randomly, not chaotic, that there is a purpose, that there is some goal which we can extract out of any bad thing. And it's a part of philosophy in Russia. Like we even have a saying that everything, what I don't know how to say it right in English.
Everything is temporary, so you should have the best.
Maybe, yeah, but another thing is that everything bad happens on a good, like with the good purpose. Actually, at the end, if at the end it's gonna be okay and it's gonna be all right, even if it was really bad, and you can use it somehow. So, and that's maybe the main message from me as well. So yeah, and now I'm like, after some time, you even feel that without the troubles, without that problem, I would not create this. And I would say that it's good that it happened to me. Like, I don't know, I know it's my health. I didn't really lost it, but I mean, it's not only about physical health. It's also about mental health, about your like psychological state, which is same important as your physical. So that was nice that it turned it that I put it in the list of good things happening to me. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, there's a proper quoted in the chat. So sorry for saying it bad in Russian, in English. Sorry.
Hi. Can you see me?
Hello, Helena. Yeah, we do see you. And people in translation also can see you, so you can join the conversation with Dima.
Can the Facebook people ask questions too?
Yes, please, of course. I have the Russian social network Vkontakte comments opened, and also YouTube comments open. So if everyone will ask something under the YouTube stream or Vkontakte stream, I will speak and ask these questions to the speakers.
I also want to ask some questions.
Please do.
Are you more productive when you feel good or when you feel anxious? Because I cannot work when I'm anxious. Actually, this is a problem. I can work only if I feel fine.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and there are different layers of how deep you can go in your fear or whatever. And I would say I am not super productive right now. Even if right now I'm staying in a perfect condition. No one is disturbing me. I have materials, I have time, but I'm not really super productive right now. But I feel that there is some potential that grows, and at some point it's going to explode. I mean, in a good way, because me personally, I cannot really stay in a bad mood or in a bad state or in a bad health for a long time. I'm just like starting to be angry in a good way, and this anger gives me a lot of energy, and then you feel that you just need to forget about everything and start to work. And maybe you just need to wait. It's not like art, it cannot be made under some pressure. Of course, it should be in some more in a good state. Right now, it's I don't know if it's possible at all or not, but I'm trying to create a project. Maybe I spend right now like a new project, and maybe I'm spending just 1 hour on working every day, but still it goes slowly, but it goes somewhere, and I feel that maybe like there is no rush since it's not it's not a commission. I don't have a deadline, but at the end of that thing, at the end of this quarantine, it's gonna be created, I think. So, and maybe it's even better if you do it slowly, because then you know that you have something undone and you could really spread it in time, like stretch it. And because of that, you still have like something uncompleted, which you slowly, step by step do. And maybe if I will finish it too early, I will have no energy to start the next one. So I'm kind of like now working like this, just like maybe a couple hours per day. But at least it deserves to try. It's really worth it, I think. You just need to. I know a couple of my friends are super active right now, and all what they do, they're really reflecting the situation in a very interesting way. Not ironical, but mostly very serious. In the same time, without using like I don't know, without sonification of the data of DNA of the virus, which is quite boring and so obvious and doesn't really, it's not sharp at all. It's fun, but not sharp. And and I think it really helps them as well. It doesn't mean that exactly the problem itself should be a main inspiration or even a topic of that project. It could be completely different, because now everyone understands this. It's a very simple idea, but that everyone right now is facing who they are inside of themselves, because now like especially people who are alone in their houses, and they are faced to themselves, which could be not that easy, and especially for an artist who like typically artists are very social. Maybe I mean they could be not very social as a person, but in general is a very like is an interface of communication. So without showing their projects, without having exhibitions, I'm not saying about openings, but exhibitions as a big dialogues between audience and artists. It's hard to get energy, because that was the main source, not the money, not production budgets, but this very important feedback which we were all getting when we had people visiting our exhibitions and shows.
So what is the loss? What's the loss in the digital translation of your humanity here that you can't get by interacting with people, physically interacting with people? What's lost?
Yeah, I will explain you. When you show your project online, you probably really point. You probably publish the text or an explanation, and you show what the project is. You probably share the documentation itself instead of sharing the physical presentation of it. When people on the exhibition see your project, half of the people, or even more, they don't read the text. They have this first perception of some crazy machine. If it's like, for example, I build machines. Most of my projects are very technological, and when they see the project, they have so many different interpretations. They could be completely wrong and really like opposite from what I was keeping in my mind when I was creating it. But that could be so interesting, and they could have such a like open perception and such a like nice like impression of the project that happens right in this moment. And it's always delayed in like showing it something over here, and then yeah, there could be some like almost a physical between it. And now we of course all missing this physical contact, especially between just like humans. But for myself, an artwork is a species, is a like a kind of an organism or a creature that I made by myself, and I take it as an alive system. And yeah, that's the thing. It could be different for other artists, but for myself it's like that.
Steven, are you fine with switching with one of the speakers, because Ksenia now is experiencing some problems with her laptop? Is it okay if your talk will be now, but not in the next 20 minutes? Will you be fine with it?
Yeah, that would be fine. I just have to teleport to the other room for 1 second, and I'll be back.
Okay. So let's for now.
So that was a fake. That was a fake background.
Imagine.
I didn't realize it.
Yeah, it was.
Actually, it's not about that kind of background.
So
I was thinking it's real.
So
that's what happens when you have a nicer camera than just a laptop one.
Yeah, probably.
So I'll ask Helena and Dima to stop camera for a while.
Okay, sure.
Okay, Steven, so while you're preparing, I'll ask our simultaneous interpreters to switch, because one of them needs to have rest sometime. He says, actually, he says he's fine. He will just continue interpreting, which is good. We are saving time, cool. So please, everyone, welcome Steven Max Patterson. We met while organizing the biggest AR/VR mixed reality hackathon at the MIT Media Lab, and Steven is the director of that hackathon. Also, Steven works a lot as a journalist in technology. So if you want to introduce yourself and say a few words, Steven, you're much welcome. Meanwhile, I'll just switch off my camera.
Perfect. Well, I think that's a good introduction. I think if you always keep in mind that I'm a mathematician and an engineer first, I'll never disappoint you because of my thought process is dictated by it. I have a talk that I'd like to take you through quickly on some slides. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, totally.
Good. So Zoom changed my keyboards here. Hang on for a sec. It'll take me a moment to fix this.
The funny thing is that the next presenter also had some keyboard problems.
Well, we'll not deal with that. My interest is always in ad hoc teams and how they produce results. I recently just joined a team out of the Harvard Medical School. Michael Chow, who's a dear friend in the computational genomics lab, and George Church invited me. I couldn't say no because of who George is, and Michael wouldn't take no for an answer. Essentially, some parts of the world face greater challenges than others in flattening the COVID curve. The U.S. in particular, each state has drastically different approaches. Where in the hotspots in New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, California, they have very strict social distancing rules and ordinances requiring masks and are scaling testing to a great deal. In other states like Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, Utah, they have very, very weak social distancing rules and few ordinances requiring face masks. Given the open borders of the 50 states, this makes the default choice almost a herd immunity, in that some of the states are approaching this like Sweden. And others are taking a very strict approach to mitigate the disease. One thing is clear is that sticking to the regimen of masks, social distancing, testing, and contact tracing will bring about a solution. And masks are a very, very big part of that that regime. So this is one of the things I've been doing to stay productive during this. So the project goal is very simple to say. In New Jersey parlance, you would say says easy, does hard. But we want to change American behavior so that people start wearing masks. In fact, they should make their own to not draw down from the supplies that the healthcare workers need. And what we've gone out to do is to convince celebrities to talk about wearing masks and to talk in public and to wear masks whenever they're filmed. This team was absolutely randomly selected. They responded to a large mailing. Bunch of us haven't met one another before. And we just attended a Zoom call and raised our hands and joined. The message is really simple. Though you can argue, depending upon the materials and the design of the masks, exactly what the probability of transmission is. But if you treat yourself as if you are have the COVID-19 virus and wear a mask, even if it's just a dish towel or made from a T-shirt, it will reduce the overall transmission of the disease in an impactful way, and will reduce the rate of transmission by as much as half. So ideally, everybody wears masks like they do in other places of the world. I'll step back here. The Czech Republic was very quick to get onto this, and if you visit our website, there's some good videos from them that they made, and you'll and places like Japan, South Korea, Singapore, culturally it's very acceptable to wear a mask. So far, we've had some pretty good results. You might only recognize Matthew McConaughey from the movies in the middle. He's come out and made some videos and talked publicly about it. On the left is Stephen Colbert, who also has made a DIY mask on his show, and then Jimmy Kimmel on the right. Both Colbert and Kimmel are late night talk show hosts with very, very big followings. We're now chasing the National Basketball Association to get their star power behind it, and we expect something from them, as well as the other sports teams. They're really looking. The sports teams are really looking to get through this. The website DIYmaskchallenge.org. Cover your face for the human race. So that is that's one part, and the second part is, why it's good to not be too picky. Why you should not reflect yourself in your selection criteria when you put teams of people together to accomplish goals. Two anecdotes. How am I doing for time?
Fine, you're fine. You have time.
Okay, good. Two anecdotes. Computers are terrible at predicting employee performance. The only reason we use them is people are worse, and that's Laszlo Bock, the former head of Google Human Resources, talking about how they use computers to predict hiring and who will make a good employee. Another example, and I don't have the citation. If it's important, just get back to me and I'll get the citation for you. It's in Malcolm Gladwell's latest book, Talking to Strangers. But they studied over 500,000 arraignment cases in New York City courts, where the judges had to make bail decisions on whether to make sure that people return to the court for their trial. And what they found after using this to train computers is that the unbiased computer released 400,000 criminals after the arraignment that had 25% fewer follow-on crimes than the 400,000 that the judges released. So what we're terribly bad at is choosing. But I'm not suggesting here that you use a computer to choose people, but there's good science behind breaking the rules and stop creating groups and teams that look like you. Joey Ito of the Media Lab used to say he likes to keep filling up the room until it looks like no one should get along together any further. So if you take the example of a field of applicants to do a job finding an optimal case at work. You know, it might be choosing the best machinery configuration. And if you have the application scores of between 60 and 90%, and you model a comparison between choosing all the high-scoring best agents versus randomly selecting the agents, and all the agents have a heuristically defined problem-solving skill set, with diversity defined by the difference in the problem-solving skill set. So what they found is in this this paper, and it's something I've gone by, is that the higher the diversity, the greater the diversity percentage, the higher the performance. So, you know, you have high diversity in both cases because people have taken the application and score 60 to 90% on those tests. But if you compare the best agents to the randomly selected agents, the diversity score predicts the performance of the agents in three different cases, and it holds true in actual reality when you are building teams for innovation. If you are too strict, if you're looking for new ideas, you're looking for new innovations, you want different outcomes. If you choose the people the same way you've always chosen them, you're going to come out with less innovation. You're going to come out with more of what you have, and it's one of the reasons why good companies, good institutions scour the world for people who are not only skilled but also are different. So that said, this is a paper. It's from 2004. Groups of diverse problem solvers can outperform groups of high ability problem solvers. And it's as long as I would say that between this paper and others, I have, if this interests you, I have a reading list for you. My experience is that as long as you have people meet a minimum, it's more interesting to look at their differences and choose them by their differences. And in closing, the next event that we're running is in June of 2021. If this coronavirus ever leaves, medvr.io. It's the world's largest AR VR hackathon in healthcare. If that's a field that you're interested in, we'll be moving online with some educational programs that will be free in the next month or so. So please join us. And that's the talk. Questions?
Yeah, we can now have several minutes for questions. I don't have much people asking anything on live streams on YouTube or on Contacte. So if Ksenia could comment something on the last part of your talk, which she, as I understand, attended, then fine. If anyone, I see Theresa joined us. I see we still have Dima Morozov. If you have something to talk about with Steven, then please do. And I will also ask the simultaneous interpreters to switch at the same time. Thanks, Alexei. Thanks, Alexei, for doing the interpretation for Steven's talk and also for Dima's talk 2 in a row. And now we have Dmitry connecting. Yay. Did you fix your laptop, Ksenia?
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I do. We also do see you.
Great. Yeah, I just wanted maybe to thank Steven for the mask part, because I've been a mask advocate for many years. I have launched a Telegram blog that is collecting different forms of masks unrelated to coronavirus crisis. It's 2 years old. And as part of this blog, we also had a bunch of mask challenges, mask-related challenges. And it's quite interesting to see how different anti-authoritarian movements, like environmentalists, anarchist activists, are jumping on this mask thing. And actually, there are a lot of memes with like people saying, "We've told you, masks are good." And now it's interesting to see how different cultures reappropriate their traditional mask making practices. And interesting fact about masks in Rojava, I'm connected to some activists who are there right now. They say that the biggest challenge for Kurdish activists now is actually to start wearing masks. They do it, they make a lot of masks, but they don't have this covering of the face thing. And I was speaking with my friend who is there, and he said that it was related also to the women movement and the idea that women should not cover their faces. So it's interesting how this mask thing is culturally embedded. I don't know if you ever thought about that.
It's interesting that you bring this up. We have one person that is going out and contacting all of the YouTube makeup artists with large followings, getting them to do makeup tutorials on how important it is to make up your eyes properly when you're wearing a mask. Yeah, very true. Culturally, it is no doubt a problem. You know, there are many people who have stood up and said, "I'm not going to wear a mask," which has been, you know, there have been a couple of memes of comparing it to safe sex and not safe sex. Because of the connotation with disease. So I think culturally there are tremendous problems, and I don't think you can break it down with just news show. I mean, late night talk show hosts. I think you need a lot of different people there. I'd love to see your blog.
Sure, I can send a link.
Yeah. It would be really wonderful. But the impact, you can start to see the impact, and I don't think it's all from us, but by any stretch of the imagination. You know, 2 weeks ago, standing in line outside, I was the only person with a mask. And one thing I will say that we accomplished is we talked to all of the large markets, in the food markets, and said, you need to protect your people and you need to protect your customers. And now virtually all the supermarkets that are still open now have requirements that everybody visiting covers their faces, and all their staffs have it. So, yeah, I think it's an enormous cultural change. What do you think the cultural elements are, though? Is it, you know, is it gender?
Yeah, there is a part of it which is gender related, but it's also about some subcultures that have been covering their faces for other reasons. So it's very easy for them to just keep on doing what they've been doing during demonstrations and so on. And me, myself, because I'm based in France, I was very well prepared. Without any expectation of such thing happening. I had FFP3 masks, a stock of FFP3 3 filter masks, because during the Yellow Vest protests, that's what I was using against tear gas. And this is the most efficient mask against tear gas, the small one that you can hide. So I was completely equipped, and it was very curious to find out that my protester friends were the most equipped in all my social graph. We all had the best masks, and we all explained our communities, our parents, our friends, this is what you have to do, have to use. And it was quite interesting how these two cultures, like this culture has become an expert in something, or the expertise that we have been building for years has become useful for other people who are kind of peaceful, just citizens.
Yeah.
So at this point, I think we better switch to Ksenia's talk because we're running out of time.
Oh, perfect. Ksenia, wonderful to talk to you, and I can't wait to see your blog.
Thank you. Okay, then let me try to share my screen. This thing, okay. I wonder, what do you see now? Can you
we do see your keynote.
Okay. So I'm turning it full screen.
Okay.
Do you see it full screen?
Yeah, we do.
Great. So I'm going to talk about something that is not directly related to the COVID crisis, but it is related to the idea of trying to save the world with technology, with science, with expertise. And I'm going to provoke you a bit. I'm talking about the research that I've been doing for now 8 years already, and what I think about trying to save the world, and how can we ever get closer to saving the world, or should we? So I made this meme when I was talking to my team, because I work as a UX researcher and designer for a messenger that is called Delta Chat. It's a decentralized secure messaging app that we've been developing with a very nice team, an international team of people who are not just good developers and cryptographers, but also are activists from different communities. And before I joined the team, there was a lot of talking about making an app that will be for communities of marginalized activists, for LGBT movement, for indigenous movement, environmentalist movement, and so on. So there was the idea of kind of building the tool for some people who cannot maybe build this tool by themselves. And I joined them actually to help understand who is the user. Is there a thing as an ideal user, as this fragile activist that we can help? I conducted a bunch of research to try to bring technology closer to this community. But the whole idea of becoming the UX researcher actually was not evident. I tried to experiment a lot with how people see complex technological concepts, such as encryption. Because myself, I'm not a cryptographer by training. I've become pretty much engaged in crypto culture and movement by learning, by reading and doing. But first, I had a very, very vague idea of what it is, what is encryption, what are secure messaging tools. And I wanted to grasp this people's understanding of encryption by making an extensive amount of workshops where they were drawing how they feel what is encryption. So here I give you on the slide two examples. I have many of them of how people see the key exchange. So on the right upper corner, you see a person trying to explain the asymmetric encryption, the key exchange with colors. It's something that I found very nice. On the lower right corner, you see some very interesting representations of encryption and decentralization. So out of these workshops, what I understood is that users do have a feeling of how technology can help them. They do have a trust or a belief in something that will happen between two computers or two telephones that will help me protect my life, my freedom, and so on. But we as developers and technologists are very far often from how people really use it and what they really need when they are in risk context. Myself being Russian, being activist, I somehow am familiar with real risk. And I was interested in building a tool not for abstract user, but really engaging with these communities. And here, I wanted to talk a bit about this idea that we can build apps and tools for everything and solve all the social, political problems with technology. I've made a PhD research exactly on this topic. And the title of my PhD was Armed with Code, Translating Public Problems into Interfaces. So during this PhD, I conducted an in-depth case study of 8 different civic apps in Russia and France. Among these apps, there were mobile apps to alert about different urban problems like potholes, broken streetlights, and so on, but also apps against police violence in France, for example, and apps against electoral fraud, and so on. And I also conducted a deep ethnography of civic hackathons. I've attended a lot of them in different places. These civic hackathons are competitions where developers with activists build together a prototype for solving or pretending to solve a problem. So for me, this was very interesting to see how collectives try to translate their trouble, their feeling of something is going wrong in the world into an architecture, into an idea of a prototype that can maybe help them in a way. I've, as an STS researcher, developed a framework that is based on 3 big elephants, theoretical elephants. The first elephant is the pragmatist sociology. So what I understood during my research is the importance of lived experience. By this, I mean the expertise of people who are actually involved physically with their body into a process of experiencing a trouble. For example, if you are a victim of police violence, you know how it feels on your skin, on your body, how the cop is attacking you. So when you develop an app against police violence, you'd rather listen to these folks. And the translation of experience of trouble into an interface is a very complex process that involves not just your personal narrative about how you feel about this police violence case, but also legal language. So in the cases that I've observed, it was very interesting to see personal, emotional experience intertwined with the legal framework of a country where the app is developed. So in this case, it was France. So the collective that was building this tool was relying heavily on the administrative and penal code and on the deontological procedures of police. So the second elephant was the infrastructure studies. So I, as a big fan of infrastructure studies, do think that all architectures are political, and every design choice is embedding and producing a certain social reality. So when you choose a certain protocol, I mean technical protocol, it's not an innocent choice. You always need to understand the consequences of choosing this or that protocol. And finally, user studies, of course, and social studies of expertise. And I do think that when you build a tool that pretends to help, to save the world, to help a community, you need to take a user seriously as an active contributor and as an expert in his or her problem that they are experiencing. So I'm just going to show you some screenshots of the apps that I was studying and try to explain what's interesting about this process. So this app that you see now is the app against falsification of elections. On the left, you see what has been initially the document that electoral observers in Russia were using. Electoral fraud or falsification of elections is a big problem in Russia. Maybe you've heard about that. Those of you who are Russian, I know that you do know this, and maybe you've been observers yourself. So there was a very big movement of electoral observers in 2011, 2012. People were going on the voting stations, filling up the form, trying to watch and document all this tiny default, all the tiny fraud cases, but it was very hard. So the team of different folks built this tool on the right that was very easy. It was a checklist where you would have yes, no, or no information for every question, that for every step of the process of voting. I was observing this process and interviewing people who were involved in this, and it was very interesting to see how the slider, you see this, it's a slider actually, you like in Tinder, you know, left, right, you swipe. So the choice of the slider was not innocent. They initially picked a check mark, so you just put a check mark, yes or no. But finally, when they were testing the tool, they understood that the process of when you are in the voting station is so stressful. The moment where your body is actually all stressed out, swiping is much easier. So this is an example of how building an interface actually needs to rely on physical experience of the person who is participating in documenting or building this civic knowledge. So the next case is the app to alert about different urban problems. This is called Красивый Петербург, beautiful St. Petersburg, my home city. And this app is interesting because it was based on the observers movement. So people who were observing elections decided to continue together, but they decided to observe something else because the election stopped, and they decided to observe the city around them. Every pothole, every broken street lamp, every dirty street is for them a sign of corruption. So what they decided to build is a tool that would help them automatically generate a complaint about all these cases. And by doing this, they would construct a database of all these problems, all these small potholes, small broken things that together put on the same surface, they become the proof of the fact that our government is not doing its work. And this is very interesting how the new categories were actually integrated in the interface of this app. For example, on the left and down lower corner, you see the person taking a photo of what was supposed to be the entrance for disabled people. You can see how it's crazy, how it's not looking like something that a disabled person can use. And there was no such category in the list of problems that this app could treat. So they had to put a new category in, which I found a very interesting process, how building a public problem or making a private experience public demands inventing or putting a new category in the list. And now I'm getting to the core of my presentation. I hope you still hear me. If you don't, please make a sign, because my first Zoom experience, I don't trust this tool. I like open source. So if you don't hear me, if you lose me, please let me know. This is the core of my presentation, and I want to tell you the difference between building for and building with. On this slide, you see the ventriloquist. So this is the puppet that the actor is using, speaking with their stomach. So why the ventriloquist metaphor is here, I will explain you. But first, I will read this nice quote from one of my favorite books of all times, written by Boker and Starr, that is called Classification and Its Consequences, Sorting Things Out. To help people reclaim the sovereignty of their lived experience has always been considered as a heroic act. But it can take a paternalist form when we speak of on behalf of the silenced people. Certain researchers have called it ventriloquism. So it's the problem of talking on behalf of the marginalized communities that we want to help. And for me, it has become a real problem when I was observing different civic apps trying to save the world without actually talking to the world or to the worlds that exist around them. And this is the example of the app against police violence. It's a French app. The first time they built this app, the first version of it was very curious because there was this closed question: have the police agents expressed violence on you? Yes or no? And you could only put one choice: verbal or physical. While you all know, I guess, that the verbal very often comes with physical, physical almost often comes with verbal, and it was very hard for people to actually pick up one of those. The second question was, have the agents told you something discriminative? Yes or no? Please precise. And there was only 140 characters in this field, which meant actually that people couldn't always fit their experience in this small, tiny box. So what they were doing, look at this slide, they were just writing a text that was absolutely unanalyzable. Or sometimes they would write the phone number in this form, asking to call them back. So what I was observing is that the app was not able to contain in the small tiny forms all the trouble of the suffering of these people. So the second edition of this app was actually taking into consideration the mistakes of the first one. They have included much more space. They have included other categories. Because they have talked to real victims of police violence. They have invited those folks from the suburbs of Paris that every day live this violence, and they listen to their stories. So again, a very important quote from my favorite book: the design task is a difficult one. As we build computing infrastructures for communities, we enter into and transform the life of those communities. So doing, we need to understand not only informational needs in a superficial sense, we need a deep understanding of the structure and nature of the community we are building for, and of the ways it represents itself, others, and the past. So when we build tools for saving the world, we need to actually learn something about these worlds and the representations and the culture and the values that are inside, because not all tech tools are actually suitable for all cultures. And here I come with my manifesto. So I do demand to decolonize the design of technologies if we want to save the world. And this decolonization should happen on many, many levels. First, the hardware, of course. We need to remember where we take the hardware to build this nice tech, from which countries that have never been properly decolonized. They're still colonized. The infrastructural level, the software level, I mean building the interface that would, in its own architecture, remember and integrate values of communities. Community of people who work in this tech design process, the data and the ownership of the data, who owns the data, and finally the ontology, which is not the least, definitely. Ontology, I mean relation to the nature, to the world. And I remember this very, very nice slogan that radical environmentalists are pronouncing very often. We are not defending the nature. We are nature defending itself. So we need to stop opposing ourselves to the world that we try to save, but rather choose the part of the world that we are part of, really, without colonizing. By colonizing, I mean pretending to understand the needs of the community that you are not part of. Again, my manifesto is based on the idea that architecture is political, and you need to start decentralizing your technological choice, decentralize politics as well. When I was looking at the masks case in the context of COVID crisis, federation and localism work very, very well. The community that you are close to, the community that you know, is the one that you can actually care for. You know how many people you have met. You know who are in need, who is fragile. So you can better help them when you're federated, decentralized, and not when you rely on some far remote state that doesn't even know and doesn't even care about you. And in technological choice is the same. Federation is now, I guess, and I hope, the future of tech solutions, even not peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer has been a very nice promise, but it has showed its limits. So I'm for the federation, but we can discuss. And to end up, this is the list of the things I think we do need to keep in mind when we try to save the world. Decentralization, I've just mentioned it. Interoperability. What does it mean? It means that we need not to produce yet another tool, but try to think of how can we reuse existing tools and connect them. For example, Delta Chat, the messenger that I work for, uses email protocol. So we are not inventing a new protocol. We use the old one, and we can connect to any email server that exists already. Third thing, we need to be modular, modulable, and adaptable. It means that we need to build solutions that can be changed by community according to their values. For example, Telegram is very popular because it's modular, because every community can develop stickers that will represent them, their friends, their culture, and so on. And we need to move in this direction, continue moving and proposing a tool that can be deployed and changed according to values, culture, and representations. Fourth is radical openness. So we really need to forget about patents. If ever I become someone that has any kind of decision power that I don't want, because I don't want power, but if ever I can have one voice, one word, one demand, I would demand stop patenting, stop producing copyright, stop, like it will not help, it will not work. Open your technology, open the way you build it. For upcycling protocols, I've been speaking about it. We use older protocols. Finally, relocalization. Think local. Questioning temporality. This is in the context of COVID crisis, very important. Always online, always notifications, urgency, urgency, urgency. No, stop. More is not better. You don't have to bind users to your tool. You have to let users free. You have to let users the choice to not use Zoom, to not use Jitsi or something, but to be able to migrate. And finally, feminist perspective. And this I will not define, so I can keep something for the questions. Thanks a lot, and I will end up with the slide. It's a pink prism. I'm done.
Thanks, Ksenia, for your wonderful presentation. You can stop the screen sharing now.
Okay. Just a little bit of advertisement.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, check out Delta Chat and the website that I'm responsible for, transsiberian.org. Okay.
So thanks for your wonderful presentation. I have seen a lot of people talking about it. And first of all, I will go through a question from a Russian audience, because we are actually very thankful for people watching us at Kontakte. So the question from Sergey, the one which you will be happy to respond, I believe, is, can a human being live on Earth without religion, state, and other institutions of development?
Of what? Of development?
Yeah.
I don't know how state is an institution of development.
I mean, that's like the point to start, because this is how Sergey, who asks questions, defines what is state and religion.
Okay. I don't know why this question was asked during my talk, because I've never said anything against religion so far. My view on the state, I didn't mention it, but Sergey maybe reads it through my face or something, I don't know. I would say that a human being can live without the state, for sure. But before we can be able to live without religion, there will be some time needed. I really don't know how to answer this question, and why this, like I would ask Sergey why why this question.
Let's wait if he replies. Meanwhile, I would love to ask our speakers to join the conversation, because we have Theresa, who is going to present next. We also have Helena Nikanore, who was really excited with your talk. So please, Helena, Theresa, or if Steven is here, do you want to join us and give some
Sure.
feedback? Please turn your camera on. So
you've turned my camera off. It tells me you need to turn it on.
Whoa. There's
Centralization of
some,
power.
yeah.
So
There you go.
Thank you for
Okay.
your talk.
Yeah, I would say that was a fantastic talk. You remind me of my dear friend Ursula, and I always say we don't talk much because she says things and I just agree with her. But that it's very interesting in terms of how you're trying to bridge the gap between the person that you're creating for, without infringing on their independence. An interesting development that I'd love you to talk about is Mel Slater at the University of Barcelona, who's the master of understanding virtual presence, has done a couple of things, and one that's interesting is he puts people who are convicted of domestic violence into the role of the victim in virtual reality. And after testing this, it's actually being used in the Barcelona courts. And there is a good indication that repeat offenses are far less. Which is interesting, but how, you know, I'm also familiar with some experiments that he's run where there have been tests like the Milgren tests at Yale, where by changing gender, virtual gender, he's gotten more similar results from women, women who were men to their results being men, and from men as women in these tests. The changing the gender skews how they take the tests, which is really fascinating. But how can you clear yourself of so many biases? I mean, it's a beautiful idea. You know, you say when you're designing and building, you need to respect everyone's sovereignty and not be their ventriloquist. So say more.
Okay, I guess that there is a very nice notion proposed by Harry Collins, which is interactional expertise. This interactional expertise is a kind of expertise that often a journalist has, especially when you think of scientific journalism. So a good scientific journalist is able to talk with scientists almost on their language, but he or she will not be able to really contribute to the science, like make an experiment or something. So in this way, I myself see my role as this kind of scientific journalist or this kind of interaction expert between developers and the community that they are working with. In the sense that I'm not pretending to talk on behalf of these people that have been aggressed by police. I'm not a person of color living in a suburb of Paris being beaten up every other day. But I hope that I can listen to them attentively and try to collect their needs and wants and translate them into a language of developers. So I would say that that is the role for me of a UX researcher, as opposed to a designer, a UI designer, developer, and so on. It's a translator role. You step out a bit, you let them talk, and then you try to maintain a dialogue between technicists and problem owners. There is this very nice pragmatist notion of problem owners. And I remember your phrase about the team, that when you have many different experts in the team, it's better than have less but like deeper experts, but less in the numbers. So I would say it's kind of a representative participation in building of a tech tool. And I'm sure I'm not free of biases. I'm not at all. But when you do that, it's like doing a good sociological research. You just try to put between the brackets the things that you've known. You make a phenomenological reduction. And I don't know, you disappear as much as you can, and you let the two sides discuss.
Yeah, the funny thing that just a few seconds before you mentioned word translation, some of the simultaneous interpreters just texted in the chat, "Welcome to the translators world."
Oh, yeah, I've been doing simultaneous translations for some things, and I'm really a solidarity and thanks, people. I know how hard it is. Thanks.
I spent some time editing scientific papers for Facebook, and they have a very, very diverse group of scientists and engineers in their AI group who come from all over the world. And they hired me because I understand the math and also can write. And I would sit there and look at an interpretation and say, did I find a mistake in this paper from this incredibly smart person? Or is this an English as a second language issue? And I would ponder it because, you know, you can't interrupt people every moment to say, would you please clarify this? And it's I feel your pain on that. The what was the citation that you gave about the expert, the journalist, the book? That
you mean the interactional expertise? This notion? It's a paper by Harry Collins and Robert Evans. I think it's the third wave of science studies. It's the first part of the title. Third wave of science studies. If you search it, you will find it's a very nice text on how the science and technology studies have evolved from first when you thought that only people have diploma and qualifications in a certain field can participate in technical decisions. Then you would have Feyerabend's methodological anarchism. Everyone can be a scientist. The 60s, the opening up of science, which brought us not always to good results. And the third wave is kind of trying to marry the two parts and let experience-based experts, folks from the crowd, but who have a very deep experience of a given problem in their city, for example, they are the person who knows the best this street. So if I'm the municipal authority, I'm interested in talking to that precise guy or woman that is not the urbanist, the architect, but the problem owner or the experience-based expert in this topic. So it's quite a nice read on expertise and on how to involve citizens in designing technologies and taking technical decisions.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. One of the problems I've identified in large-scale hackathons is while there are great ways to get at new ideas and new innovation, you'll have 3 or 4 or 5 really smart people who will get together and they'll come up with an idea and they'll build it. It'll be executed well, but anybody who would be a user of it won't find it relevant because nobody on that team has any expertise there. How can you quickly get to understand the problem owner?
You mean if I'm a technologist, how can I?
Yeah, what's the fastest way to get that breakthrough so that you really understand them?
I guess my attitude to time is not very connected to the fast thing. But the hackathons that I've observed that were really successful were always letting the floor to the problem owner talk before developers. And it's a very nice tradition where not developers go and pitch, I know this technology, I'm looking for the team that wants to work on this particular language, like I'm a Rust fan, let's all work and write things in Rust. And then there will be an NGO looking for someone, and they would raise their hand, maybe I can go and do the thing with you. I don't know what's Rust, but you know, let's rather start with them discussing and making a storytelling experience, like pitch in 2 minutes. What's the story behind your problem? Like tell us why you need this tool. And then the best thing is that the interactive expert comes and says, maybe you don't need a new app, maybe you need a bot on Telegram. And then the devs come, then the developers come, and then they work together. Because very often the problem owner thinks that they need a new app, a new one, because they don't know the state of the art of civic tech. So the experts in civic tech, these interactional experts, are here to help developers not to do more work, not to reinvent the bicycle, but help this problem owner group with the needs, with the means that already exist. So I would say rather let the problem owner speak, let the civic tech expert think of maybe there have already been things done, and only then you let the technologist in.
I'm very sorry to mention this, but we are like super taking too much time. I will just quickly read one comment from YouTube commenters in English. There is Vasily. Vasily is an artist who is now residing in Shanghai, and he tells that they were participating in an exhibition with many artists who would do paint masks, and they have an offline show in Shanghai now. And he tells that it's quite interesting that when before the COVID-19 problem went global, there was almost no people joining, but as soon as it broke out, there was all the online artists joining in for the project. And now they have this huge exhibition from like 50 artists from all over the world. Maybe I will also link you to Vasily, because I know him. You will be interested in this mask project. So meanwhile, we ask Theresa, who is supposed to join the conversation, to turn on the camera. And I will ask the simultaneous interpreters. Hi, Theresa.
Hi.
Glad to see you. Yeah, I do, but I will ask you to just wait for half a minute to change the interpreters, because we have simultaneous interpreters working. Just a quick 1 minute, sorry. Nice background you have.
I actually forgot I had this on. It was from the last meeting. I don't know how to turn it off so quickly, so I leave it.
And you're calling us from?
Berlin.
Berlin, nice. We had a friend of us joining us from Berlin yesterday. He was presenting his concept of ultra-modernistic gesture. So we're almost there with parallel translation. Test. Okay. Okay, now we do have the simultaneous translation working, thanks to Alexei, who joined us. So please, Theresa, would you introduce yourself, and thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you for the invitation. I'm a conceptual artist working between new media and biotechnology. And I will present today a new project that's called Meet Me, and linking it to how industrial farming of animals may have contributed to the spread of corona or other viruses. I start with a short video. If I can work it out.
You want to do the screen sharing?
I want to play a video, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you have a green share screen button in the Zoom. On the bottom panel, there should be a share screen thingy.
At the bottom, when the share screen comes up, make sure that you click the share computer sound and optimize screen sharing for video clip at the bottom. You see those?
Well, I see all sorts of things to share.
Yeah, now we do see your screen.
What are you seeing now?
We do see your screen now.
And a video playing or not?
We don't see a video playing yet. We see the screen with the Explorer, with the Windows Explorer, with the folder with we see the folder with 4 videos.
Yeah, it doesn't display the actual player because that's on top of it on my screen. How could I do that?
I think you should first launch the video and then click on screen sharing and then choose that video frame, video window.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Did you manage to launch the video file?
Yeah, it is playing.
Okay. Then put it on pause.
That's what I'm doing.
Then go to screen sharing.
I guess you should just stop sharing your screen first and then do it again.
Yeah, right. Right. Launch the video file now. Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna show a very short sequence of this video. Can you see me again?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, sorry. So what you just saw was the beginning of a biopsy on my left quadriceps. In November last year, a plastic surgeon in Slovenia removed about 1 cubic centimeter from my muscle. What followed was a 2 months long laboratory process of cell differentiation and proliferation and the seeding of my multiplied cells on an edible scaffold. On February 6 this year, just before the corona pandemic hit Europe, I presented this project in a performance entitled Meet Me at Kapelica Gallery in Ljubljana. I cooked it, ate it, and also offered it to the audience. For the performance, I developed a narration around the topics of bioethics, animal rights, and body politics. I'm showing a few images. No, sorry. In 3 chapters, I took on the role of several personas. In the first part, I was taking on the role of a butcher cutting up meat. Initially, I copied the gestures of my leg, the gestures of the biopsy on my leg, on a piece of beef meat, and then I sliced the pieces and arranged them on a light box, like an X-ray to an amorphous, fleshy organoid. The second part was a staged dialogue between my artificial self and me. In advance, I used a machine learning model based on a GPT-2 algorithm that I fed with my conceptual texts. The model generated text responses that were based on a search through the internet. The algorithm looks through websites, blogs, forums, and synthesizes a new text that per se has not been written before, but is based on whatever has been published online. From the results, my sound collaborator, Moises Horta, created a voice clone of myself. He trained a neural network with a prior recording of me reading a text. The model was then used to vocalize the generated GPT-2 text. In the performance, I staged myself in a dialogue with my voice clone in combination with a projection screening videos from the laboratory process and the text from the model. I was speaking into a microphone, and the artificial me was speaking back with my cloned voice, somewhat giving a personality to my cultivated cells. That was a short excerpt from one of the stage videos. And then the third part of the performance, the main part, was me preparing, cooking, tasting, and sharing the meat with the audience. The underlying background behind this project was my question of future food in a post-anthropocentric society of ubiquitous biotechnology and the understanding of the human as a product. Many thinkers of post-humanism stress a non-human-centered perspective on the world, and that we, as humans, should assume a more modest role in our dealings with nature, stop categorizing, and think of humans more like animals. Scrutinizing this idea of a Zoe egalitarianism, I wanted to treat the human as any other animal, and hence as a source for potential food, because this is what animals are mostly for us. Advances in biotechnology have made it possible to grow new organs and tissue from our cells. Genome editing, in theory, allows to construct a human as if it were an order for a product. This has turned our bodies into a ground for engineering, made it reconstructible to a certain degree. In my project, I'm treating my body similarly as a material, an impersonal objective structure, an architecture in Stellak's word, to experiment with. I would like to take a step into another direction, into the past of around 1640. René Descartes proclaimed that animals are non-sentient automatons. They eat without pleasure, cry without pain. Their screams are not more than the squeaking of a wheel. His opinion was already, by his equals, condemned as fatuous, murderous, and monstrous. Yet looking at industrial farming and the current exploitation of animal for fashion and cosmetics, Descartes' approach doesn't seem too far from our treatment of animals as machines, reduced to produce organic material. We are alienated these days from the production processes, as they happen at places we usually don't see. This disconnection allows to easily forget where, for example, the steak comes from. As long as mass production of meat is still being the predominant practice and reality of today, not eating meat is not only an ethical consequence, but also a political statement. In my work, I wanted to draw attention to those bioethical issues and treat myself as a fleshy resource in a similar way. The COVID-19 pandemic we are experiencing now has added another unforeseeable relevance to my project. A recent article in The Guardian from March 28 has linked factory farming to the coronavirus. It explains how the animal industrialization has required more and more space, and in consequence, those farms were pushed out of inhabited zones, closer to the forest. Currently, the assumption is that the coronavirus may originate from bats, animals that are living in forests and thus get in contact with nearby farmed animals, which as intermediate hosts of the disease have infected humans through consumption. An article on the Chinese blog Chuang from February 28 gives more details about this so-called, quote, evolutionary pressure cooker of capitalist agriculture and urbanization. The virus behind the present epidemic was like its 2003 predecessor, SARS-CoV, as well as the avian flu and the swine flu. Before, bred at the nexus of economics and epidemiology. It's not coincidental that so many of these viruses have taken on the names of animals. The spread of new diseases to the human is almost always the product of what's called zoonotic transfer, which is a technical way of saying that such infections jump from animals to humans. Robert Wallace writes in his book, Big Farms Make Big Flu from 2016, growing genetic monocultures of domestic animals removes whatever immune firebreaks may be available to slow down transmission. Larger population sizes and densities facilitate greater rates of transmission. End of quote. So, I hope that with my provocative suggestion of a biotechnological cannibalism, I will make people think more about the food that they eat, especially where the meat comes from and how it is produced that they consume. The title of this talk, Cannibalism Against Corona, is obviously a provocation and to be understood with irony. But if we would grow our own meat at home in an incubator, we could live a self-sufficient life and leave animals alone. By looking at the human body as a food production unit, as an ever-renewing food source, I wanted to draw attention to the unethical way we exploit animals and also how it globally harms our planet, from contributing to global warming, but also helping create conditions for viruses to spread. I want to show a kind of philosophical statement that the machine learning model created based on one of my inputs. So I want to end here because I actually would like to enter the discussion or hear some questions from you.
Thanks for your talk, Theresa.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. That was my first time.
Not at all. Not at all. Thank you for being brave and strong, fighting with the online problems, because like that's what everyone does. Me personally, for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I'm trying to build tools and like search for answers. How do we work online together and talk and discuss? And even me, as you might see through this conference, always I do face like glitches, problems, everything goes wrong. But through time, I hope we will all go through it. Thank you for your talk. We have like 5 minutes maximum for discussion because there is also next presenters waiting. We're a bit ahead of time, so please do talk. I will turn myself off for a while. Hello, Alexei and Lisa.
Yeah, everybody. It's for me, the philosophical statement video was a little bit too short. I couldn't follow the end of it.
Which one? The connection to Descartes or the post-humanism statement?
Yeah, the very last one. That was like white letters typed on a black screen.
Okay, yeah, wait. Right, I can just put it back on.
Because I guess that's an important part of your presentation.
So just making it clear, this is nothing that I have written. This was created by a GPT-2 model, a machine learning algorithm that creates text based on your specific input. So in this specific case, I put like my main statement was around, I read it out, an anti-humanism that understands the human as any other animal and ultimately also as a source of food, like something like that. And what you read here is the result that the GPT-2 model created. So
well, looks meaningful.
Yeah, I also like it.
So thanks again for your presentation, Theresa. We should give word to our next presenter, Medina. Is she around? And Lisa, sorry, we are a bit delayed, so yeah, you're fine with that. Hey, hi. Let's stop the screen sharing. Yeah. Hi, Medina.
Hey, hello. Thank you for the invitation.
Would you just talk and meet people for a while? I have to change the simultaneous interpreters meanwhile, so we have a minute for just wait and talk to people.
Can I say something? Because
yes.
Actually we changed the speakers. We were going because Laura couldn't make it, and we have Medina with us. Thank you so much, Medina. And Laura asked me to say that she's sorry for that, and she apologized. But now we have Medina with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have the simultaneous translation on, so I'll ask you to leave the video space for Medina presenting and turn off your cameras for a while.
My name is Medina. I'm interdisciplinary artist and activist from Kazakhstan. Thank you so much for an invitation. I'm a little bit shy, but I hope I will get over my shyness. I can start, right? Or not? Or no? Yeah. Can I start? Or...
Yeah, of course, please do.
So yes, I was born in independent Kazakhstan in 2001. And as an artist, I'm interested in observing the political reality, I think. In modern Kazakhstan, the issues of attempts of reinvent our national identity or after the USSR is very relevant. And then there is a rampant digitalization, on one hand helping activists, and on the other giving the repressive apparatus new opportunities. For example, I have, for example, in Kazakhstan, I have a work, a project about that. In Kazakhstan, the cameras of the Chinese company Hikvision are now being introduced into buses and bus stops and schools and hospitals. And I had work with face tracking, face tracking consisted of a narrow room with a hole for a camera. I can show you. I wanted to show you just one of my work, and then I'm so shy. I'm so sorry. Так. Так. I'm sorry. I have technical problems. Now I can share my screen with you. So. Yeah, this is my work. One of my projects. It's called. Yeah. This is my work. I'm sorry. I think it was technical problems.
Yeah, we see you and hear you all good, and the screen is here, all fine.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, when I'm so sorry. I'm so shy. So yeah, I think I'll just skip it. No, I'm so sorry. I just so yeah. I just wanted to. So
hey, it's all fine.
I'm just shy. I'm so sorry.
You don't have to apologize. Like, we are all stressed facing this situation and this online, that you don't know who's watching now, and we are all in this Zoom, which is not comfortable. Like, this is absolutely normal. You don't have to worry or apologize. It's all fine. I saw there are like some artists from Kazakhstan that I know in your presentation. I think I saw Swin Bekeder, maybe. Yeah.
This is my sister, actually. This is my
really?
yeah. We're
Nice.
sisters.
Nice. So you can continue your presentation. Yeah, I'll be here to help if you need.
Thank you. I'm just so nervous to talk. Sorry. I'm sorry. So yeah, this is my work. It's called Within the Law, and it's basically it's a narrow room, and there is a hole for a camera, and when you look at it, below appears your file, and there is a text of the main part of the file with the neural networks fantasy based on laws of unfree post-Soviet republics. And in the space, the social me of a person is reduced to a simple piece of paper, dossier, case, sentence. So going back to activism topic also, for example, last year, the Kazakh authorities, never mind. I have been studying computer science since last year, but in my artistic practice, I'm interested in digital media plus traditions, historical, epigenetic experience, memory, postcolonial discourse, and civic art activism. I want to start off by telling you about Kazakh Spring. This is a number of events that took place in Kazakhstan after I went on so-called online protest on March 21st, 2019. On Nowruz, it is a Turkic holiday to celebrate spring. I made a Facebook frame with the words, Nur-Sultan is not my city, Tokayev is not my president, Deriga is not my speaker of the Senate. I have a choice. This was the day when endless President Nursultan Nazarbayev resigned and new president decided to rename the capital into Nur-Sultan. And Deriga Nazarbayeva, the daughter of the dictator, became basically the first person in role to become president if this president would resign. The next day, I went live with a single protest. During the celebration of Nowruz in the center of the city of Almaty, and the words from my the words from my Facebook frame became my slogan. I repeated the word. Выбор! Nur-Sultan не мой город. Nur-Sultan не мой город. So I was 17 and my video was shared a lot by people of Kazakhstan, including the leader of a legal party in Kazakhstan, and there was even more reaction. And challenge was launched in social networks, and people all over Kazakhstan shot videos with my words. But along with support, there were numerous threats as well. But after that, we organized the movement for political reforms, Oyan Kazakhstan. Oyan from Kazakh translates as wake up. And this movement consists of young people from all over the Kazakhstan. And we were talking a lot, and we decided that we are tired of living under an authoritarian regime of Kazakhstan. And here are a few actions that we made. It was in Kazakhstan, and this is my first attempts to mix like new media apparatus, I don't know, with my activist work. This one, the right one, I supported an activist movement against the ski resort development in the national park of Almaty, and I made an AR filter for people to protest virtually, so they can use it and see the hashtag and to look this hashtag up, and yeah, it looked like that. And then I moved to Moscow to study computer science, and I was away from my friends and associates from Oyan Kazakhstan. So I continued my work with AR filters, and this one is a very popular, fun teenage kind of format. This filter called Digital Protest, and it basically randomly chooses your protest slogan. There are some basic reform demands like police reform, peaceful protest without permission, freedom of speech, etc., etc. I just wanted to turn something really popular into political statement, because I wanted to raise awareness among other teenagers just like me who were using AR filters all the time currently in Instagram. And
Yeah, that always look so strange to me, that even such simple things and simple claims, you have to frame it as a protest. Because like, why the hell a right to come together peacefully should be a protest? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. The next one, the next filter that I made, it is called the public enemy. I decided to make this filter on March 1st, after the death of activist Dulata Gadil in Almaty jail. It just felt like authorities will never stop using these repressive methods, you know, detentions in courts and surveillance and threats. It just felt like they believed that we only have like really bipolar like the system is good and the enemies of the people are bad, and it defines all us, the common people, like we are some kind of enemies of the people.
Yeah, you mean just falling into dichotomies, that there is like A and B, left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And also this filter is a continuation, I think, of my work within the law on collecting biometric data of citizens and tracking them, and yeah. So and this is my new filter. It's called "My Body is a Gauge," and most of you should know the story of Phineas Gage, who had a frontal lobe severe damage, but all of his functions and were saved, but his personality changed dramatically. And today, many neuroscientists compare frontal lobe development in the age of early 20s with its damage, with its that damage that Phineas Gage did survive. Because in early 20s, we have like total redevelopment of our values and connections. And well, I won't tell the full concept, but what is wanted to be shown that is that my contemporaries, like people my age, saw nothing except economic recessions and political repressions in my country. When since they were born, they saw only one power as this paternalist, self-proclaimed father of the nation. When I think about this, I definitely feel pain in my frontal lobe. When a youngster sees how policemen smash peaceful protesters in the head, his consciousness gave birth to only one clear image of toxic masculine father. This knowledge since then is forever steamed in his head and grow only stronger, I think. So yeah, this filter is basically police baton that goes through a person's head, just like Phineas, just like Phineas Gage survived the. Never mind. I'm so sorry.
You're all good. Like the points you make are quite clear. It's all fine. You don't have to worry. And thank you for your presentation. It's all good.
Thank you so much.
We do feel you, yeah, and understand what you talk about. It's clear messages. All fine.
Thank you.
I've also been to Astana several times before it became Nur Sultan, and I was also pretty shocked. I was invited several times as an artist to do workshop for local artists to like show how to use technological tools. And I was so much impressed how the technological tools blend with local knowledge, with traditions, and how artists from Astana and Almaty would blend technologies together with some traditional local crafts. It was quite interesting. Yeah, and so I have very good memories from there. And I know the artists that you have shown on your previous slides, and we sort of watch what happens in Kazakhstan as well, and we feel you. So thanks for your presentation and sharing everything.
Thank you too.
So if anyone wants to connect, I think we're like running super ahead of time. So Alexei, are you around? Together with Ianina, would you join the discussion, Ianina and Alexei? And
yeah, мы здесь. We are here. Мы здесь. Мы есть.
This is so good.
So good.
Nice. So meanwhile, I will. So hello to everyone, and meanwhile, I will change the parallel, the simultaneous interpreter. Hi, Nina. You have to turn on the micro. Yeah, now all good now. So let's leave Alexei and Ianina here, and I will ask the simultaneous interpreter to change. Wait a minute, I will tell you when it's done.
Да, но нам не нужен переводчик, потому что мы будем говорить на русском.
No, you don't need it, but I have to switch the sound so it goes straight.
А ну мы можем начинать?
Подождите, я включу русский язык нашим.
Сейчас, пардон, что-то у меня зависло все. Йой.
Алексей, скажите что-нибудь.
Сосисочная. Слышно? Раз, два, три, 4, 5, вышел зайчик погулять. Хорошо слышно? Very good, very good.
Ну чего, я врубаю, да, презентацию?
Can we start now? Shall we start now? Мы начинаем? Ильдар? Окей. По-моему, мы... А нет. Ждем отмашку от Ильдара.
Окей.
Anyway, I have some short message for our English-speaking audience. We decided to give our talk in Russian because we believe the majority of our audience are Russian-speaking people. So we thought it would be a little bit funny to give a talk, our talk in bad English and then have it translated into bad Russian. So a lot of information could be lost. But meanwhile, you might like to look at our Art Footprint Manifesto, which is the topic of our presentation, and the URL is right here on the screen, artfootprint.xyz. And after our presentation, we'll be happy to discuss it with you if you have any questions or comments. So I guess we are starting our presentation. Eldar? Yes, no? Ну, похоже, тут организовалась самоорганизация и ждем. Окей, мы получили месседж от Эльдара, что нас все слышат, и мы можем начинать. Не так давно Янина и я, мы закончили работу, промежуточную работу над нашим манифестом, который вы можете найти по этому адресу и прочитать. И сейчас мы скажем несколько слов про него. Почему Art Footprint Manifesto? Почему Art Footprint? И вообще, что такое Art Footprint? Под Art Footprint мы этот термин ввели по аналогии Carbon Footprint, и он обозначает то негативное влияние, которое оказывает Институт современного искусства, то есть деятельность художников, институций, галерей, музеев, коллекционеров на окружающую среду. Мы считаем, что искусство является неотъемлемой и очень важной частью того капиталистического общества, с его системой производства, глобализмом и так далее, которое нас привело как раз вот к этим вызовам, которые сейчас перед нами стоят. Главное из которых это изменение климата и загрязнение окружающей среды. Вот. Перепроизводство всего, в том числе и перепроизводство искусства. И мы решили подумать, что можно сделать в этой ситуации. Во-первых, конечно, надо обозначить, что искусство является неотъемлемой частью всей этой проблемы. Поэтому надо что-то делать с искусством. И мы предлагаем как бы не только и не столько упиваться, значит, жалостью по поводу того, что происходит, или там критиковать, например, но некоторые практические шаги, которые мы могли бы сделать. Вот. Мы рассматриваем разные аспекты вреда, которые наносит Институт современного искусства на природу. И один из них, один из механизмов, который используется, это так называемый гринвошинг или зеленый камуфляж. Что это такое? Это примерно то же самое, как когда вы идете в магазин, покупаете какой-то продукт с огромным лейблом «эко» на нем и думаете: окей, я хороший гражданин, я забочусь о природе, я покупаю продукт с надписью «эко», и вы не вдаетесь, что это за эко на самом деле. На самом деле это не что иное, как некоторая маркетинговая уловка. И этот продукт не может быть не менее, а даже более вреден для окружающей среды. Вот. Но вы доверяете производителю и перекладываете ответственность на него. То же самое, похоже, в огромных масштабах происходит и в мире искусства. В последние годы мы видим рост выставок, посвященных экологической проблеме мусора, проблеме изменения климата и так далее. Но если посмотреть, эти выставки не направлены на решение этой проблемы, они направлены лишь на ее эстетизацию, критику в лучшем случае и business as usual. Продолжаются эти гигантские биеннале, требующие большого продакшена, огромное количество работ перевозится туда-сюда по миру на самолетах, на кораблях, на поездах, вот, и так далее. Огромное количество людей, любителей искусства, художников и всех сопутствующих акторов этого процесса путешествуют на самолетах между разными континентами, но не задумываясь о том, например, что один трансатлантический перелет выделяет, вот если ты слетал один раз туда из Европы в Америку, туда-сюда, то ты выделил столько СО2, как если бы ты целый год ездил, например, туда-сюда каждый день на машине. Вот, то есть художники радостно поднимают экологические проблемы, но тем не менее сами в своей деятельности продолжают выделять СО2 и загрязнять окружающую среду. Поэтому мы наметили как бы два таких момента, два шага по уменьшению негативного влияния искусства на окружающую среду. И первый шаг – это, можно следующий слайд. Первый шаг – это Zero Waste Art, и сейчас Янина вам про него расскажет.
Да, я еще немножечко 2 слова добавлю такой личной истории. Как началась эта вся история, как все это началось, тут Леша вспомнил о личной ответственности, которую мы перекладываем на производителя в тот момент, когда мы покупаем эко, грин и так далее товар, да. И в принципе, у нас-то тоже началась история с личной ответственности. Как-то раз Леша пришел домой, рассказал о том, что это было 2 года назад, даже чуть больше, рассказал о том, что его коллега и друг задыхается вместе со всей семьей в одном из районов Москвы, поскольку рядом свалка, которая выделяет метан, загорается, соответственно, вонь с токсичными различными веществами разносится по всему району, люди не могут даже, я не знаю, дышать нормально, форточку открывать. И у нас было такое решение для того, чтобы разгрузить этот район, как бы, ну, неважно, да, куда этот мусор вывозится от нас, но в любом случае разгрузить как бы город от своей экологического следа, от своего, и как бы начать сортировать мусор. Ну и, в общем, все, я думаю, что кто вставал на этот путь, они прекрасно знают, что когда ты начинаешь сортировать мусор, ты видишь, сколько его собирается у тебя в доме, а потом начинаешь от него отказываться понемножечку и начинаешь вести стиль жизни, то, что сегодня называется zero waste. Супер модная тема, популярная. Все, наверное, хоть раз в жизни уже видели женщину или девушку, которая приходит на какую-нибудь TEDx-конференцию, ставит перед собой полулитровую банку с мусором и говорит, это все, что мы произвели с мужем, 2 детьми и собакой за год. Ну, собственно, у нас, конечно, не полулитровая банка, но, тем не менее, конечно, мы наблюдали то, что происходит в художественной среде, поскольку мы обои из среды современного искусства, то, что делают наши коллеги, как работают институции, и поняли, что как бы вот эти принципы, их можно выносить за пределы своего дома и имплементировать в свою профессиональную среду. Потому, собственно, вот этот самый zero waste, понятие, которое возникает на самом деле в циркулярной экономике, в начале нулевых годов профессор Мюррей такой, по-моему, Мюррей из Британии, который написал книжку «Цель 0 отходов», и там это имелось в виду 0 отходов как циркулярная экономика, не как отказ от мусора вообще, а как постоянная его переработка, как сырья, да, которая может быть использована вторично, третично, четвертично и так далее и тому подобное, множество раз. Ну и, собственно, мы перенесли этот принцип zero waste, тот, который, наверное, ближе все же к тому, что проповедует Беа Джонсон и еже с ней, женщины с полулитровыми баночками, мы предложили это использовать в художественной среде в той последовательности, которая как раз zero waste гуру проповедуют это, да, то есть сначала откажись, потом сократи, если ты не можешь от чего-то отказаться, потом переиспользуй, если ты не можешь отказаться, сократить и переиспользовать, отдай в переработку и, в конце концов, закомпостируй, да, то есть, казалось бы, такая вещь от нас далекая, от художников, художниц, куратора как компост, но, тем не менее, именно из-за органического мусора, органических отходов, которые попадают на свалки и на полигоны, как раз и происходят вот эти самые выделения метана и возгорания, которые выделяют диоксины и разные другие токсичные вещества. Ну и мы включили сюда последнюю такую часть, это React, то есть реагируй, это то, что, например, проповедует такая московская компания по сбору вторсырья «Собиратор» или «Раздельный сбор» они еще называются, они всегда добавляют React к этим 5 принципам. Более глубоко, опять же таки, нет времени о них рассказывать, слишком мало времени на доклад, потому я вас призываю обратиться к манифесту, к тексту манифеста. Ну, например, если ты не можешь отказаться от самолета, да, то есть от перелета на самолете для своих резиденций, для своих, не знаю, там, выставок и всего остального, то пока не, да, и так далее. Что же мы предлагаем взамен, что же мы предлагаем как альтернативу, да, Алексей?
Да, пару слов просто по поводу этого. Да, если вы почитаете, еще раз отмечу, что если прочитаете манифест, то вы увидите, как можно применять эти все методы именно ко всем стадиям художественной деятельности, начиная от производства и кончая утилизацией произведения искусства. И это очень важно, эти шаги вполне можно делать. Вот. Но этого недостаточно. Как Лена сказала вчера, art is not enough. Почему? Потому что все равно остается сам этот институт порочный капитализма и придаток этот к нему институт современного искусства. И для того, чтобы нам победить капитализм, нам нужно, к сожалению или к счастью, победить и современное искусство. И тут мы переходим к следующей стадии, к альтернативизму. Да, Янина? Включите микрофон, пожалуйста.
Да, я включила звук. Если до этого, как я говорила, вот эти все zero waste штуки, они существуют, в принципе, в модусе циркулярной экономики, то есть, в принципе, как ни крути экономики и капиталистическая система отношений, то мы предлагаем научиться выходить за пределы этого порочного круга, скажем так, пусть он даже будет называться таким сладким словом, как циркулярная экономика, устойчивое развитие и все что угодно. Мы предлагаем перейти к альтернативизму, который предполагает то, что художник, куратор, любой другой человек, как бы он себя ни называл, впоследствии, после того, как он перейдет, в принципе, к этому альтернативизму, чтобы он мог выйти из этой системы и полностью перейти, скажем так, на самообеспечение, и в том числе на обмен какими-то продуктами и так далее. Это понятие само по себе, понятно, уже несет определенную коннотативную нагрузку, альтернативизм, что-то альтернативное, но, тем не менее, нам также понравилось, что два корня, которые тут, например, в английском языке прочитываются, alter и native, они тоже несут свою такую смысловую нагрузку. Альтер как другой, иной, и мы говорим о том, что другой и уважение его, в том числе и природы как другого, очень важно в альтернативизме, и нативизм или native, природный, естественный, местный житель, местная еда и так далее и тому подобное. Ну, собственно, вот само название альтернативизма, это обретение внекапиталистического сознания, состояние индивидуальной осознанности и заботы о мире. Это не художественное самовыражение, но сотворчество с другими и природой. И если мы с вами посмотрим, какие же мы формы альтернативизма предлагаем, в принципе, ничего нового. Это сервайвализм, который позволяет выжить в любых условиях, да, даже кризисных, которые вполне могут настать, даже некоторые ученые нам дают 12 лет. Пермакультура, которая, опять же таки, не даст вам сгинуть без еды в любых, наверное, просто условиях, и в условиях города, и в условиях деревни, и даже леса. Это апсайклинг на сегодняшний день, супермодный DIY, ремесленничество, фольклор и современное устное творчество, телесно-духовные практики, экоактивизм и экопросвещение, или просто активизм и просвещение в любой сфере, которая предполагает именно такие характеристики, да, как восстановление связи человека со своим телом, то есть когда мы начинаем воспринимать тело и свое как такой важный инструмент взаимодействия с природой, и, собственно, восприятие человеком самого себя как части природной экосистемы, сотворчество, человек-человек и человек-природа, но если даже с вами не хотят сотворить, то вы можете дать пространство для творчества другого и природы, да, но не мы выходим за рамки соревнования капиталистических каких-то условий, необходимости выживать и соревноваться за гранты, резиденции и так далее и тому подобное. Совместное использование ресурсов и натуральный обмен и миролюбие. Конечно, должна сказать, что для многих из вас, наверное, покажется это слишком радикальным, те формы и характеристики, которые мы приводим. И мы уже, кстати, столкнулись с тем, что начали получать такой фидбэк определенный на нашей конференции Art Footprint Conference, то есть когда мы опубликовали этот манифест, получили фидбэк и желание людей обсудить, собственно, то, о чем мы говорили, то, о чем мы написали в манифесте. И в этот понедельник, да, который был 20 числа, мы провели первую конференцию, в которой принимали участие участницы, спикеры из России, Украины, Белоруссии, и даже из Шотландии была украинка, девушка, которая рассказывала о том, как арт-институции сейчас переходят на рельсы устойчивого развития. Вот, запись можно посмотреть, я сейчас проанонсирую, где это можно сделать. Мне кажется, у нас получилась очень интересная беседа, такая продолжительная, почти на 5 часов, если я не ошибаюсь, да, ну на 4 точно с чем-то. И на самом деле мы получили очень много, несмотря на то, что люди воспринимают по-разному этот манифест, мы получили очень много таких, много запросов на то, чтобы присоединиться к конференции и рассказать о своих экологичных различных практиках в сфере современного искусства, музыки и других видов искусства. И вот, например, сейчас вы видите на слайде нашу программу на конференцию, которая будет в ближайший понедельник, на которую мы тоже вас приглашаем, где вы видите, тоже будет Аля Кахидзе, это украинская художница, Владимир Архипов из Москвы, Сергей Гудилин из Беларуси, Николай Полиский будет рассказывать про Никола Ленивец, Дарья Мили – это кураторка ЗКМ, и ЗКМ уже работает несколько лет, собственно, над тем, чтобы стать устойчивой институцией. Ну и, собственно, наш будет тоже доклад. Плюс мы вас призываем также вот найти нас онлайн. Это, собственно, наш манифест, его можно прочитать и ознакомиться с ним. На Facebook-странице Art Footprint Conference вы можете найти видео предыдущей конференции, которая прошла уже 20 числа, и присоединиться к мероприятию, которое будет вот в будущий понедельник, 27 числа. Ну и, собственно, пишите нам на e-mail, если у вас есть что рассказать, если вы тоже практикуете какие-то экологичные привычки, экологичные решения в своей художественной практике, или даже не обязательно, потому что поскольку мы говорим в манифесте также о том, что на самом деле творчество – это то, что всех нас ждет, независимо от тех профессий, с которых мы придем в альтернативизм. То есть неважно, на самом деле, был человек художником и художницей, имел ли он отношение в любом виде к искусству, но то творчество, которое возможно в альтернативизме, оно естественным образом настигнет всех, скажем так. И вот на следующий раз у нас тоже будет очень интересный докладчик из Беларуси, который живет в экопоселении, который пришел там с менеджерской какой-то истории, и сейчас сидит в деревне, делает handmade электроинструменты, и что-то невероятное на них играет. То есть это просто какие-то совершенно разные пути могут быть. У меня все. Алексей, может быть, ты тоже хочешь что-то добавить?
Да, и еще, конечно, мы с удовольствием поучаствуем в каком-нибудь событии или даже организуем в рамках вот этой конференции, где мы сейчас находимся, онлайн-конференции About Saving the World. Вот. Так что мы открыты для дискуссии, дальнейшего.
Друзья, мы очень сильно сейчас начинаем залезать. Давайте тогда подключать других спикеров.
Вопросы.
Да, если есть вопросы, комментарии, мы с радостью их ответим. Мы ожидаем комментарии, потому что, просто потому. Да.
У меня есть вопрос, если меня слышно. Я худший с точки зрения вашего подхода как бы художник, производящий, во-первых, слишком много работ, во-вторых, они все...
Так, у нас сейчас нету возможности на вопросы и комментарии уже, к сожалению.
Ой, один хотя бы. Сейчас тем более саморазоблачение такое. Надо дать Диме возможность высказаться. Пожалуйста.
Давайте один Димин комментарий.
Да, вот. Я как бы худший, это очевидно, и я слишком много летал, по крайней мере, до последнего момента, да, я прилетел из Нидерландов уже в середине марта. И у меня такой просто вопрос, скорее, то есть, да, это каминг-аут, с другой стороны, я как бы предельно трепетно отношусь в целом, как бы к дискурсу в целом, и для меня это очень как бы важная тема, хотя мое творчество предельно как бы разнится, и это единственная зона, которую я себе позволяю в этом смысле, вот, или, по крайней мере, ту, которую я могу обозрить, вот, и достаточно моего понимания. И мой вопрос заключается в том, почему у вас такой сильный фокус именно на искусстве, потому что тема всеобъемлющая, она предельно универсальна, Вот, и, казалось бы, должна
Мы
выходить
же не
за...
можем объять. Я поняла. Давайте сократим просто время вопросов-ответа. Вопрос понятен. Он нам уже задавался на первой конференции, потому что это наша сфера деятельности, потому что это та сфера, в которой мы действуем, живем, работаем. Нам кто-то предложил, например, бабушкам пойти вещать про РСО на конференции, но бабушки, у них своя аудитория, свой язык и свои, очевидно, герои, которые могут об этом рассказать. То есть для нас доступно для вещания из каждого утюга, скажем так, про экологию, это наша среда, да, то есть естественно, что мы идем в свою среду. И еще такой вопрос по поводу как бы себя и того, что я худший представитель. Мы все худшие представители на самом деле. Если мы сейчас начнем меряться своими экологичными следами, я думаю, не будет ни у кого плюсов, так сказать, в карме. Все мы наездили. Алексей, вот, например, тоже весь мир объездил, прежде чем обратиться в так сказать, стать эко-святым, да. Потому, и тут такой важный момент, который мы тоже отметили на конференции. Очень многие люди, художники, у них есть внутренняя эта потребность, очевидно, перейти на другой, более экологичный образ жизни, и вот эта проекция, да, внутренняя претензия, которую они имеют к себе, очень явно в понедельник спроецировалась на манифест, и на нас, как на автора и авторку, да, манифеста. И это было очень интересно наблюдать, и даже девушка-эколог, которая принимала участие в этой конференции, она сказала, что вообще нужна сессия с фасилитацией, и я с ней абсолютно согласна.
Друзья, переходим дальше, потому что ребята сейчас следующие опаздывают на свою дискуссию, и мы их подводим очень сильно. Спасибо за выступление.
Да, спасибо, до свидания.
Удачи, хорошего продолжения.
Oh, zero time.
Hey, zero time, I'm Isabelle.
Hello.
Let us check the parallel, the simultaneous interpretation meanwhile.
Okay.
So you can keep on talking, and I will pass it.
Yeah, just sort of just dropping in the last hour or so. Super interesting as always, and we've been working on. Zero time is heading over to here. Yeah, we've just been working on our presentations, and
so the translation seems to work.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I need headphones.
Okay. Well, are we? I'm going to be sharing my screen for quite a bit of this. So, but when you're ready, let me know.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Please talk. It's all good.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hi. So I'm Isabelle Rousset. I work at Derivative, where we make TouchDesigner. And for those who don't know, TouchDesigner is a procedural node-based tool that people use to make real-time interactive art and multimedia content. So I write our blog, do social media, help organize events like our summits and other gatherings. And most importantly, I think I'm very connected with the community. So share screen. Okay. Sure. Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yeah,
okay.
we do.
Okay.
We do
okay.
all good.
Okay. So you can check out our Instagram account to sort of get an idea, broad idea of what people use the software for, which is very broad, often astonishing. I'll show you a couple of examples. This is an AxiDraw. This is someone using GLSL to do a banana bird murmuring. This is Vasily Bitten using TouchDesigner to speak smart like Socrates. And anyway, Greg's going to talk more about what the software, and what our team is developing and looking ahead at this time. And I am going to talk about our community's response to the pandemic, which has been really tremendous. Like, I personally don't recall being this busy in a long time. Before talking about what's happening now, I'm going to talk a little bit about pre-pandemic and our community. So what I'm showing you right now is our TouchDesigner Summit that held in Montreal last year, where 350 people gathered for 3 days. We had 45 workshops, 21 talks, something like 70 presenters, and people came from all over the world to share their knowledge and to learn from each other. I'll get back to this later, but a very good point someone made on a thread I started last night when I was asking the community for feedback about the talk I was going to give today. Owen Lowry mentioned that our community has always been socially distanced. Our members are spread out around the world, so somehow we figured out many creative ways to work together and inspire and help each other via distance. So we do this summit that you're looking at right now every 18 months or so, and the people who present and who give workshops and who perform come on their own dime. So basically they fund their own travel and expenses, and we give them a small token fee. And so this is, for me, an example of how very generous our community is. And it's really a community built on generosity and playfulness and bravery, considering what a lot of these people are working on. And also, like, a point that shouldn't be missed is that everybody seems to really love techno. And so the other thing is that there's really no ego. This community is fairly ego-free. So at some point in these gatherings, like every single one of them, I have this thought, and it's become a bit of a mantra, and it's that if the ship ever goes down, these are the people I want to be with. And it's a little ironic that right now this is kind of what I'm feeling and where things are at. Like I honestly didn't expect the ship to go down, and I don't know if it's going to go down all the way, and I don't know what's going to happen next. But for sure, there've been many casualties. But it also feels like people have are creating a lot of opportunities. So right now, you're looking at the community page on our Derivative website, and this is kind of the recent output from our community. This is where our community can post assets, events that they're holding, tutorial videos, notices for workshops, and it's just sort of exploded. Like people who normally make things on a part-time basis and have jobs are now doing this on a full-time basis. So if anybody wants to learn TouchDesigner, this is a really good time, because you'll have the attention of a lot of people and teachers. And but back to how the pandemic has influenced our community. I mean, the other side of this is that everybody has lost most of their work, because we're a community where our community does a lot of work that depends on being in large social situations, and a lot of interactivity, a lot of touching things, and being in scenarios with lots of people is no longer possible. So performances, festival engagements, interactive installations, live shows, all gone. So I mean, I know there are still people working on projects. There's still stuff in development, but a lot of it is gone. This is a page I started back in March, showing another thing that happened in the community is people just started, like, there we go, doing a ton of live streaming. And so there's from all corners of the world. This is performance-based. We have another performance-based, Stanislav's How to AV Stream in TouchDesigner workshop coming up on the 28th. So that's highly recommended. And then there's sort of an archive here of all these things, and most of them you can go back and watch them again. But it's a lot of it's definitely a lot of content. This is something that Matthew Watchter did a few weeks ago that it's a little bit sad, but shows an example of kind of using this circumstance for learning, for R&D, and kind of what the community is doing anyway, sort of taking care of each other as best we can. So I wanted to show you, and I can't scroll there. 1 second. So this is a thread I started last night on Facebook, asking the community for their feedback on the situation during the pandemic and how they were dealing with it. And I'll just go over a couple of things. Do I have time? So this is Jean-François Renaud saying that, among other things, he feels close to people with whom he shares a common passion. It's a way to meet up and face the odds with more vigor, which is true. Again, this prominent feeling of openness and support from the community. Dylan Roscover saying that someone who spent his whole life in the conquest of commercial work and staying too busy with it, the slowdown has given me the time to finally work on and release some tools for the community. And that's what's happening a lot. Rob, grateful for the, Greg will talk about this, but we've put out some tools recently that make streaming much more accessible for everybody. And this is Owen's quote that I quoted earlier, just about the community being naturally distanced and having to deal with sort of, I mean, it's a very learned way of being for us. So I think that's, I recommend, again, I mean, if anybody is already involved in this community, to just check out some of these pages that I've shown. There's a ton of resources. And if you're a resource maker, it's a good time. And I will turn over to Greg. Unshare my screen.
Hello? Yeah, we do hear you, Greg. Thanks, Isabelle.
I have to unshare my screen, right?
I think you did.
Okay.
Okay. You can all hear me, I suppose. Isabelle, can you mute your microphone? Isabelle happens to be over there. So we're not social distancing. So Ildar, I want to thank you so much for putting this on and for getting such a great diversity of people that you know to connect and sometimes speak for the first time like this and share their thinking. That's a really great diversity of ideas and thoughts, and it's a great thing to put on, Ildar. So I appreciate being invited to speak as well. So at the time of around March 15th is when our staff at Derivative started the process of working at home. So that went quite smoothly, and being a software company, it's much easier to cope with this than businesses that have, or people have a lot of necessity on physical hardware and being in places and so on. But anyways, our like at the same time, our company attention turned to how we would help our community adapt to COVID. So we had kind of a first kind of company-wide internal meeting and several small meetings, kind of throwing around ideas about how to make the to help our users and community adapt to the new situation. So so Isabelle went through a whole bunch of social media initiatives that we took on. So that was great. But then our developers and programmers started to figure out what our users needed the most. And the echoes we heard the most was, we want to be able to stream from TouchDesigner into the internet. And we want to go to platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and so on. So it happened very quickly. We came out within 2 weeks, a new build of TouchDesigner that we posted that contained 2 new solutions, so that people could treat TouchDesigner as a kind of a virtual webcam and stream out, and even do it with our free version. And then we went a bit further and added some protocols. One protocol in particular called RTMP, which let people stream into other platforms like the Twitch, Zoom, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, plus Slack, and a few others. Mixer. So that was like pretty quick reaction, and we put up the web pages to explain to people how to do it. And so now we're in the same state. We're trying to figure out next what to do for our community. So we're just thinking amongst ourselves, okay, how do we adjust our product a little bit so that people can do more with TouchDesigner? Because TouchDesigner really is an enabler of adaptation to different situations, but it's up to the users to build what they need with it, but it's our job to provide some kind of infrastructure. So I'll just show you two things before I end. One is that a number of our users have produced their own VJ tools or performance tools for performing live in front of an audience. But a number of them, including like Stanislav, who's presenting that session on the 29th, I think it is, we're adapting our VJ tools to stream. So I'm going to just switch to a share screen, and we'll just look at what's happening here. Share screen and over to this one. Okay, great. So this is a tool that I've been evolving over years called VJ Kit. So this is what I use to perform live, but I've just adapted it to add a camera in here and ability to mix in other bits. So other bits, mix them together and combine and output to audience. So video sources, film, image sources, devices, procedural things, and so on. But this is just an example of kind of adapting what we had already to things that new situations that we end up in. So let me just pop out of here for a sec. And yeah, so this is the what occurred. Our tool now outputs to video streaming out or NDI out, which goes to a virtual web camera. So that's one example. And I just wanted to just pop through a couple of slides. Yeah, we put out our page on RTMP, how to stream to stuff, how to stream to platforms like Twitch, Mixer, and so on and so on. And an article on broadcasting to social media from TouchDesigner by virtual webcam by NDI tools. So this is our kind of quick reaction, but we've got more things to do. We're always taking input from our users. And what? My picture what? Oh, right, because this has to stay up. Okay. Right. Sorry. Hang on. Too many windows. Man. Oh my God. Not used to the, okay, I guess I'm back now, right? Okay, let me put this to a side. I guess that's what I'm broadcasting from, so that has to be running. So, yep, so let me just bring up another app briefly. And this. And jump over to this line. Yeah, so the whole cornerstone of TouchDesigner was interoperability, meaning interoperating between devices and things out in the environment. and TouchDesigner, and being able to take data in and send it back out again. So that was the whole thing that that brought us online, because we originally started off TouchDesigner with a very simple configuration where you'd have, this is 20 years ago, we had a video in, if you're lucky, QuickTime movies, a few audio formats, and OpenGL. And the only controllers we had were MIDI, joystick, and your keyboard, and usually one projector, again, if you're lucky. So we devolved over the last 20 years into something where there's a lot of inputs, protocols, and so on. But it was just in the last couple of months where we've turned our attention into the internet. So the video streaming and web browser and web client and so on server thing just started to take off with us. And so this is where we've kind of jumped forward to and connect TouchDesigner more with the rest of the world. But anyway, that's the rough idea of it all. And I guess that's it. So what's that? Sorry? Okay. I'm going to turn off, hang on, turn off streaming. Hang on, and share screen. Okay, I'll turn off my screen share, or maybe you can take me out. Okay, well, oh, there we are. That's where I left it off. Yeah, great. So anyway, we'll take questions from here.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Ildar.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for your talk. So thanks for sharing the tools. Thanks for adding up a lot to allow live streaming accessible for free to everyone. Because that's exactly what enabled me also to use TouchDesigner for this conference, because our initial idea was to build a conferencing tool for everyone without paying. And this is actually what made possible TouchDesigner being part of it.
Great.
So yeah, big thanks to you all.
Yeah, we're always looking for the next thing we have to do from all you people.
We will post it up. So it feels like we have to switch super fast to the next people, because we're running super late. There is Lisa Savina, who is waiting for us for long. She switched places with several people to like make room for those who hurry to another conferences. And we also are going to see Stanislav Glazov's live performance here together with Buta dancer Valentin Tszin. So they are going to use TouchDesigner as well.
Oh.
They are now also waiting for our delay. So we are always happy. We are always happy to see you again, because this conference is going to happen regularly once a month. So please come to us with any updates or ideas and thoughts.
Okay, thank you for having us. And
thanks a lot for having us.
Thanks for your time. See you again.
Yep.
Bye.
Lisa? Lisa? Okay, now we are waiting for Lisa. Oh yeah, I see. Hi.
It's the end of my video, so I cannot do it myself. Sorry for that.
Yeah, a little bit of hierarchy here.
Really happy that I have a chance to listen to more speakers, because it was really useful, and my speak will be shorter because I don't have so much things to say, as I'm not an artist. I'm just a producer, a curator producer that work for the direction that seems to me like useful. And usability is the one word I really want to say of last time, because when you ask me the questions, what could save the world, I really don't know what. But I know the thing that really disturbs me. So that's why my first idea was to start this topic with the words by Paul Valery that two dangers constantly threaten the world, order and disorder. And referring to prophetic curse of the last Venus biennial, we are definitely living in the interesting time because we are living both in order that the disorder that destroyed our business life, the professional life, maybe sometimes for some people, and order they give us kind of a totalitarian system that we control of the government, and we cannot do that because they sold us the idea of the safety that we can save lives. But I don't want to talk about the political problems. I want to talk about that thing that disturbs me more. And for a while, I found that the one thing that could connect people is not just the vodka, as Russian thought for a while, and maybe just art. I found the sense that we are more global than we could suppose when I found the streaming of the Berlin Club organization, like United We Stream, that connected a lot of clubs. And so I spent a wonderful evening dancing in the best Berlin, and not just the Berlin, just Germany clubs. So I just want to show you some, maybe my screens. And I started to think which art could be useful for the world at the moment we live. The first one is the performance art. We started to work with performance here in St. Petersburg in this small apartment. We found the ancient apartment that was decorated like it was apartment from the very beginning of the former last century. And then we started to produce performance, and this is like a performance, soundscape performance about the artificial intelligence. And then it was the really interesting thing that we are looking how do people react for that, because this is an idea who touched the very important problem of philosophy of like an ethic in using of artificial intelligence. Then another thing that I'm really interested in is the art and science. Then as the direction is developing very quickly, we found a lot of actors who are not really art and science actors, but they are doing something with technologies or something weird, and they're trying to sell it like art and science programs. We organized, unfortunately, we have the website just in Russian. And I show this part on the platform, Russian platform, Big Museum that made by Yandex, and we are trying to fix some main topics of this program based on you see the Paul Vanus project, the labor, and the non-life forms, life forms, and quantum and art. I see that a lot of artists that participate in our program that were invited by our brilliant curators, Dmitry Morozov and Helena Nikanoli, are participating in this conference as well. I'm really appreciate to be a part of this conference too, as I'm not so much a technology person. And the third part is the quantum and art. And we want to develop this direction more and more. And I really think now to organize, to rebirth the media art residence that took place near St. Petersburg a couple years ago. Maybe we'll try to find some sources to how to reuse it, to reborn it. And that is the next topic that I think that we should concentrate as when we're doing the projects, to try to grow up all these directions, because they could be really useful. Because we started this project, we had an idea. We had a kind of cultural urbanistic project in Novosibirsk, in the middle of Siberia, and it's the city that has this very special cultural identity, but they have the brilliant science basement because they have the Akademgorodok. And so I was looking for, because I was really tired of all this, I don't know, the ecological problems, and this is sharing, like dividing garbage and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, okay, I'm an art person, I should find out something that we can do something with art, and what can we do there with art where people don't really know, cannot be involved in art as a city. So I found I tried to propose them the project that based on art and science. And we found, when we made the first public talk with the young scientists, that mainly they think that art and science is kind of science illustration. So we have a lot to do there. We opened the exhibition, but now it's closed because of the quarantine, but we will reopen. We prolong our way to work, I think, in May, and we have also the second act of this part of this exhibition that we will do in summer. And the third part that I started to think, I think we should to reorganize the idea of public art, because I think everyone is boring with the stupid monuments dedicated to someone who you can easily find in Wikipedia or somewhere, and you can really find out it's very difficult to explain to people that live in this city with a small budget. Why should we spend a big part of this budget for the brilliant, huge sculpture? I know, some kind of, like, I would love to say Anish Kapoor, but in Russia, I think we don't have chance to for Anish Kapoor, maybe in Moscow. And we started to look for the new direction that could make public art more useful, and we found 4. The one is all things that connected with land art, and the art that could make to develop the growing greens in the city. I mean the trees, I mean flowers, and something, I don't know, the grasses, that we could develop this part of the city environment. The second part art is the light art, and it could be not just and huge entertainment like they do in Lyon, or maybe in Eindhoven. I'm not quite sure it still exists. But it could work with the historical heritage to show people, especially in regional cities, in the cities, the new cities, that they have something that should be concentrated on. The people should be concentrated on, focused, maybe not concentrated. And the third thing is the soundscape. I found once I was in Perm, and it was winter, very cold, and I was going along the river, and the wind was in front of my face, and then I heard something like birds whistle, and it was like a summer sounds, like birds whistle, and like when the insects, something like zooming. And I just found that one cafe made this kind of soundscape around them, and I felt the different, like I'm in a different place. So since then, I have the huge idea to make such a soundscape performances around the cities. I applied one of it to St. Petersburg. I'm not quite sure they approved it, and I find enough money, but I will really do it finally. And the last part, it's like going back to Bauhaus ideas. when I share my idea that art should be more useful, and that we should get back to some idea that Gropius promoted 100 years ago with my Netherlands colleagues from the Foundation for Creative Industries. They told me.
Lisa, just one quick thing. So there's Refik Anadol who joined us to tell if he is able at all possible to conference or not able to join again. So let's just listen to him what he says. Hi, Refik. So
I can turn.
hey. So hello. Wow, such a nice gear you have.
I have so much students every day, every week. So I have to be in this new radio station mood. Hello, everyone.
Okay. So hello. So now Lisa is finishing her talk. Is it still available for you to join us like after 5-10 minutes, or you will join our next conference? And we're sorry for this time shift. We had some technical problems. So if your talk starts in 5-10 minutes, it is okay?
For me?
Yeah.
I need to go to unfortunate academic meeting. It is 11:20, so I have only 50 minutes left. But because I never thought it would be that late, there's a UCLA meeting that I need to join.
Okay,
academic meeting.
Then I have an idea. We have 5 minutes for Lisa to finish her talk, and then
I
10
have
minutes.
just 1 minute.
Okay, Lisa can make it 1 minute, and then
I feel. Actually, I have just one thing, just one idea. Make a useful art. That's it.
That's a good plan, Lisa. This plan actually feels pretty well and aligns pretty well with what previous people told. That's sort of the mood of the conference. Okay, so thank you, Lisa, so much, and see you on our next conferences. And let's give a word on screen to Refik. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. So hello everyone, I'm Refik, joining from Los Angeles.
Sorry, Refik, and last one thing, 30 seconds to switch the simultaneous interpreter.
Hello?
Like 15 seconds, we are switching the simultaneous interpreter. Okay, we're good now. Thank you, Refik.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we do, and the interpretation is all good. Thank you so much.
Okay, so just wanna quickly say hi since I have a limited time, but I just wanna say hi to everyone. I promise to be here from Los Angeles. Right now I'm in the studio alone, but I think the topic is very exciting, and I thought that I wanna share quickly a couple of feelings and ideas. So I think what is very important in these unique days is, as we all know, the art that we are doing by technology. So I'm very inspired by science fiction in my practice, and since my childhood, I never stopped thinking about like how the imagination, remembering the future context, can be inspiring and exciting. So for me, I think the first computation start like I was 8 years old when I got my Commodore 128, and then I got my first time like playing games and writing load, typing load and enter, and like that kind of thinking was so for me now ancient kind of feeling, almost like 25 years ago. But what really changed my imagination is not only just using information in the context of like, how can I say, in the context of just like numbers. For me, what was really inspiring is data can become a pigment. And I think 9 years ago, when I started my journey, the idea of using data in the context of material or pigment was something like very surreal. And really understand that idea, it took me 9 years. I'm still like not even aware of like just a simple, maybe for many people now it's so simple, like Perlin noise. But when you think about this specific algorithm that allowed the pretty much entire cinema industry to reimagine how to build mountains, how to build ocean and sea and sky. I don't know, like there's some really interesting connections between like who we are as humans, how the machines can interpret our reality. Anyways, so I think what I found in my work really, really deeply connected nowadays is using specifically AI. Specifically, I'm super inspired by the group of people at NVIDIA. And luckily, as a team, we have been working with NVIDIA now almost 3 years. So last 3 years, we worked with the engineers, the developers who have been like behind not only hardware but also software. So for me, what was really next level feeling was when a machine can interpret a human face, which is one of the most complex, realistic form of representation. I was super like ready for what can be next. So I started my exploration called machine hallucinations now almost 3 years ago. The very first iteration was done in collaboration with Mike Taika. He was a Google's engineer who trained me and my team how to use DC again 3 years ago. But now, the more I personally more involved in the GAN ideas, the more I found that this whole world has an incredible potential. Like, for example, this is a PG GAN called Progressive GAN, where we were able to like load enormous amount of data of different locations and cities and buildings to look for what is like hidden in this like latent space, which is the space in the mind of a machine. But I think what was more inspiring is not only just the idea of a machine can learn, but what was much inspiring is like how we can really iterate this universe, like how we can learn and look and feel and understand and narrate this world. So this specific, I think, obsession about how our memories and dreams may work is coming from actually these ideations. In my work now, I think we are heavily working with this specific tool where we can let the AI think, hallucinate, and create these painterly dreams is, I think, very exciting. And then I'm very inspired by architecture. I'm very inspired by my heroes, such as like Frank Gehry, Zaha Hadid, Tadao Ando, and many others. So like literally my first goal was like, what will happen if we go back to this, like, again, personally, what is our inspirations? Like who were the people really made us like think about the form, the image, the color, like the many things. So I'm just going back to those ideas, going back to those like people who really invented for me the inspiration of spaces and the forms and experiences. So I'm like literally doing this as like a more psychological research, like going back, like honestly understanding like who was my first heroes, like what were they like thinking about their forms. And then we are also like working on something much more I think beyond that expectation, which is now looking for different archives, such as the Mars data, which is from the MRO machine sent to space and has an incredible amount of like image archive of 12 terabytes of every single image taken from the Mars surface. And then not only that, like, but also like what else we can do with these machine learned spaces, like how we can understand these three-dimensional locations and give a context of like different distributions in 3D space as well. So I think what is exciting is like really understanding those ideas, really going back to like how we can take the machine consciousness into a world that like we can look at and feel it. So, I mean, just today, I think in this talk, what I want to say is like, if we can look at our collective memories, if we can go back and understand how we remember, how we recall, what is our mnemonics. I think one of the big problem of data is like egocentric data, right? Like there is there is like IP, there is a name, there's a surname. But what I am doing in my work is I'm trying to ignore this personalization of a moment, because I think data is something so sensitive, something so private. Whenever you touch someone else's private data, you are in this like unique space where I think the I don't know, like that world is really not, I don't feel safe to be there. I don't feel that it is, I don't know, it's something like feel someone's home, like going someone's private location. But when I talk about like this idea of like going more, how can I say, this distance future where like these images are not real, like they are all coming from machine hallucinations in New York. I mean, these are not real images but feels real. And I felt like these are incredible exciting transformation of a space that we know it exists, we know that is there, but we never experience the same feeling from multiple perspectives. So anyways, so I thought that using machine intelligence will allow us to remember, to go deeper in our emotions, memories, and dreams. So that, as an artist, I think my inspiration nowadays is how we can take this idea, bring to the next level. So I want to finish with this image because I need to go to my other academic meeting. But I know it's so deep topic, doesn't fit into like a 10 minutes. But I think in these heavy days, especially pandemic days, while we are all disconnected from each other, physical world, I think the more, I think we are becoming emotionally connected through the virtual tools, and we are leaving our data. So anyway, I'm just like all in these ideas. Want to share quickly with this unique group of people to say hi, and thank you, Ildar, for making something very purposeful to connect the minds. So I hope it's a quick saying hi and my perspective on mission intelligence and why am I using and how am I using it.
Thank you so much, Refik, for finding time to join us even after this shift in time. And thanks for your talk. We will stay in touch with you with our next conference. SM. Good luck at your work and at your coming academic conference that you are going to join now.
Thank you so much, and hope everyone staying safe and a wonderful weekend. Cheers. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Great to meet you all.
Great to meet you too, Refik. Bye. So now we are going to try connect with Stanislav Glazov and Valentin Tszin, who are now in Berlin. And they, together with Natalie Golubenko, are going to present an audiovisual performance named Singularity. So we are now waiting for them to connect the sound and the visual. I think it's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. Thanks everyone for attending the conference. It was an exciting 2 days of talking and sharing thoughts. Very inspiring for me personally. I was so happy to see so many brilliant creative minds coming together to share ideas on what we do and what's next in this situation we are all into. So now I think we can release our simultaneous interpreters who did a great job. Thanks, Dmitry. Thanks, Alexei. And also a big thanks to the whole team who has been working on these 2 days of conference. These were like Helena Nikanolia, who was together with me organizing. Do you wanna like join me now? Maybe Helena, are you around? You want? Are you here? Maybe she's not.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
Here.
Great.
Yes.
So I wanted.
I just wanted to say it was really great. I'm so happy. I had actually so many questions, but we didn't have time for that. So I hope we all will meet again. I mean,
Yeah.
at the next conference.
We should. Actually, the level of discourse was pretty intense, and the speakers were amazing, and we could have a way more. Oh, Steven,
Hey.
let's plug Steven in. Hi.
Hi there.
Steven.
Yes.
Happy to see you again.
Yeah, I've been back. I just had to jump for a half an hour, but this is fantastic, and I think it's bordering on a new medium. I think you're creating something here.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a very important thing I would like to ask from all the participants and from the viewers. We will share a form, a feedback form, so that anyone could give some inputs of what can be improved, what can be done different way, like how do we build a newer medium, like what could be cool to do next. We are super open and waiting for feedback. Yeah.
You know, it's the interoperability between platforms. You know, for creating this is the interesting part.
Sure.
You know that we could have a Mozilla hub somewhere that's that we have 20 people in virtual reality communicating on Zoom and out to the world through Facebook.
Oh, meanwhile we have Stanislav Glazov connected and seeing his video. Hey Stas. Maybe we should try to like switch out and let the guys perform. So let's test the performance. Thanks everyone. Meanwhile, I'll have to link the audio. Okay. So thanks, Stas, Valentin, and Natalia for this live. What we can definitely see is that we need to work on some other sound protocol or sound streaming solution, because Zoom is not going to work for audiovisual performances for sure. Will you guys join us for some talking, Stas? Hey, Isabelle.
Hi.
Glad to see you again.
Yeah, that was really good. What was wrong with the sound?
So I actually, I'm not sure what exactly was wrong, but something was.
Yeah, still sounded good.
Yeah, I wish we could be present on the performance itself.
Yeah. Oh.
Hi, Greg. Glad to see you again.
Yeah. What time is it in Moscow?
It's 9:40 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, my screen sharing didn't work. I didn't realize it while I was talking, but I sent you a JPEG of it. But I can send it. I can make it share right now, actually.
Yeah, you do. Please do. So you're welcome.
Over here. Take this away, and we'll see if I can share screen. Okay, share that one. Yeah. Well. Oh yeah, share. Here you go.
Nice.
That's interesting.
You have some feedback happening, or what's that?
Audio feedback?
I'll mute my mic.
Oh.
Yeah, so I take my software tool called VJ Kit, which I've been building over and over again for the past 4 years. It never seems to stay the same. Every time we put out new software, I end up with new ideas to put in it. But at any rate, if let me just share the other screen if I can. Yeah, let's share the other one. I'm getting too adventurous here. Let me just take this one off. Okay, and bring my full screen over. There. Whoop. Good old Windows doesn't like this stuff.
Hi, here is Stas and Natalia now joining us. Hey.
What's that? There's unshare? Yeah. Okay. Unshare?
No, it's fine. We're waiting Stas and Natalia to join via sound.
Okay. Yeah. So this VJ Kit tool was adapted just to have their video stream out, and which goes to RTMP and or NDI out, going to NDI tools, which goes out as a virtual webcam, these were the changes that we had made in TouchDesigner in the last build, in the last release that we put out. So it's conceptually very simple, since it's just output pathway, but it just shows how easy it is to actually take something that you've built before and as a mixing tool and adapt it for streaming. But as you say, the audio on Zoom is not so good, and other people I know who put on events have used some other audio streaming system service to put out the audio at the same time as the Zoom video went. So it really shows how people aren't happy with the audio in Zoom, but that's just the way it is. But yeah, movie picture, player, and process me, make me blurrier, fuzzier, so keyboard input. And, all right, this thing here called puffies is, let me see, the bottom of puffies to say bye-bye, send them away. Oh, and that's busted. Okay. So anyways, you want to take over the screen for now?
Stas, are you around? Stas, Valentin? No, I still can't hear you. Yeah, Stas? Hi, Isabelle.
Hi.
Not yet.
Check.
Now it works.
Cool.
Yeah, happy to hear you, Stas.
Yeah, here's me, Valentin, and Natalie comes in a second.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you can lower volume down a bit because now it's a bit.
Okay, so it's okay.
So it's okay.
Yeah, now all good. Yeah, cool. Happy to see you guys.
Same shit.
I think our audience, especially the one on Vkontakte, Russian social network, was pretty impressed with everything what happened, because I was actually thinking through the whole day that many people who connected via Vkontakte randomly, they didn't expect such kind of a content, even in terms of speakers and presentations. So and I was very happy actually with that, because this meeting something new and highly experimental is something that could provoke a change, which is good, as I believe.
Great
Right,
success on a so short time.
How was your experience? I was I was pretty into your performance. I was watching and trying to understand how it feels to you to perform in front of cameras without seeing an audience. It should be quite a strange feeling, as I can think myself.
Yeah, so I think we have to answer one by one, because everyone has a different experience. So for me, I was on that kind of performances always so busy. So I actually didn't manage to show to audience anyway. So it's not so much change. Maybe it's also better than in club, because, or in some venue, because I have a very good monitoring here. So I hear precisely what I'm doing.
So
Yeah.
I'm also switching scenes all the time. So I also never see the audience. So maybe we have to ask Vala.
Does it sound well?
Yeah.
You hear? I was wondering just to run around to ask neighbors if they have any cats or any pet or dog, or just someone to be present, because yeah, of course it's very hard. It's very challenging. How to create an event, how to make the gesture, how to make something without being perceived, without having this physical, mental feedback right now and here. But this is very interesting situation. So it's I think it's opening very new horizons of suggestions, art values, and research questions.
Yeah, totally. I was thinking a lot through your performance. Like one thing is a challenge for sure. For like we should develop a more rigid and solid channels of audio communication, because for me improving the picture is sort of simple, but the way to transmit high quality audio we have to figure out, because yeah, this conference was set up in like 4 days. in a super rapid prototyping way. So no surprise, we faced many technical issues. And thanks for bravely joining us with not just I don't know, DJ set or synthesizer gig, but a performance with body, with a special setup of cameras, with modular synthesizers, like a bunch of pieces that should be somehow matched together and streamed. This is quite an experiment.
Thanks for a very urgent situation that you put us.
Yeah.
And
Thank
the
you for
reaction.
inviting
So
us.
this is a very, yeah, this is, I think, yeah, thanks for giving a chance to try it first before. And unfortunately, yeah, we didn't follow all the conversations since we were preparing and setting up performance. And I hope to listen it again, all this symposium, and then come back with some feedbacks or nice comments or suggestions.
Yeah, we are thinking of not thinking. We will add soon like chapters and time code to the YouTube recordings, so that you can browse through time to select speakers. And
Great.
yeah. Okay. So if you're if you have anything else to share, then do so. Tell us something, or otherwise we will finalize the second day and go have some rest, everyone. How do you feel, guys? Will you join us again?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Thanks.
I just want to say hi.
Hi.
Thanks, guys. That was great. I really enjoyed it. Seeing you is very special.
Isabella.
Hi.
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 Thank you. I'm over here. Okay, I'll drop back out.
Oh.
Cool. So
Okay,
Ildar,
so-
what's on tomorrow?
Tomorrow, a bit of sleep, but it was the second closing day of a conference, so I don't think we are going to join all together again tomorrow. But we are thinking of having in 2 weeks one more conference with all the feedback taken into account, and some upgrades and some new talks, workshops, and stuff.
That's great. So yeah, it'd be great to see some of the other speakers' recorded video as well, as like you said, time coded and jump around. If you have the time for that, I mean, geez, you're so busy with things.
We have a wonderful team of people. Yeah, we have a lot of wonderful people to work with. I think we will manage to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to reiterate that it's not just me and Helena who are organizing. There was wonderful Natalia Maximenko who was working with social networks. There was Angelica and Kate who were working for the design. There was Daria who worked for promotion with media, and many like 2 interpreters, Dmitry and Alexei, and many other people whom I might unfortunately forgot now because I'm tired and my head is not working well, but I tried to mention most of them. So yeah, I think we will manage to do stuff to make these recordings readable, and also make the next conference better by many means.
Yeah, well, thanks. It's amazing.
Yeah, okay, so let's finish our conference, and thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Valentin.
Oh. Greg.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Hello.
Now we have, don't tell me that you have a support question, right?
Okay, Greg, time to drop out here. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.